Greetings, fellow nerds and geeks. Why don't you pull yourself up a chair, grab yourself a beverage, and prepare to enjoy a geek-tastic conversation. Welcome to the Geek Easy.
Welcome back to the Geek Easy podcast. This is episode 57 for December 19th, 2018. I am Pixel Dan Erdley, and once again I'm joined by these guys, my good friends, my co-hosts, Mr. Jonathan Leonard.
Hey, Internet.
And Mr. Jaron McCaffrey.
I'd like to welcome all my fans to episode 3 of the Geek Easy podcast.
I'd say it's also episode 3, right?
Episode 3 and episode 57 simultaneously, depending on when you join the show.
Depending on which universe you're in.
I like
listening.
it.
Yeah.
Into the Geek Easy verse.
That's right.
Yeah.
Geek Easy verse.
I like it. That's really good. Sweet. So this right here is actually the very last recording of the 2018 year. How about that? So
is that right?
No, we got one more.
right.
It's
Well,
the last
we're
one
doing the
before
30th.
Christmas.
no, but is that one going to air before the end of the year though?
Oh,
good
no.
call.
Yeah,
It'll be the last one to air in 2018.
So we will be
okay.
recording one more time.
Now
by
we're
the end
just
of the
arguing
year.
semantics
Yes.
for no reason. Sorry.
This is the last one you guys will be hearing before 2019 begins.
Yeah.
So
which means you guys won't hear about Aquaman from us until until 2019. That's in the future.
I'm sure they're crushed.
Yeah. So that's obviously one of the downsides of having like an actual schedule that we stick to.
I think I broke Jared's brain for a second.
We're definitely going to be seeing Aquaman, and we're definitely going to be talking about Aquaman, but because we're on this bi-weekly schedule, this is one of those things that happens to fall a week after. Yeah. So it's just going to be that way.
Yep,
But
just like all my wrestling pay-per-views.
yes, so we're actually recording this before TLC. So we're missing talking about TLC
It's
again.
TLC
So
Right,
Yes.
right now.
No
TLC is
kidding.
happening as we're recording.
Interesting.
Right now, so
Did not realize that.
that was
Yeah. Technically, we're all Prime members, I think. We could have seen Aquaman this last weekend, but I had a wedding. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's also the holiday season, so I was doing Christmas stuff with family this weekend. All that matters is that we are going to see it and we are going to talk about it, and you guys will probably
I just want to
still
waste
tune
as
in,
much
so.
time on this episode talking about Aquaman without talking about Aquaman
Great.
as I can. So
Great.
I feel like I've accomplished my mission.
You definitely have.
Yeah.
You definitely have.
there.
We've done it. Congratulations, John. You're a winner. All right. Well, we've actually got several topics that we do want to get into today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to John to introduce our first topic, which is a follow-up from what we discussed last week.
Leading right in from previous week, we talked about, we started talking about our favorite Christmas movies. We gave all of our number ones, which I won't recap now because the thing we talked about doing was coming up with a top 10 list for each of us of our favorite Christmas movies. Which I would like to introduce by just saying how much I like doing top 10 lists. Like, I had a lot of fun just going through this and putting it together. If we want to do top 10 lists as a regular segment of some sort, I will really enjoy doing it. However, I also want to preface it by saying that top 10 lists are completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Because if I write this list again 2 weeks from now, I can't, I can guarantee you the order will shift.
Well, wait up.
And I have a feeling 2 of the movies might fall off and be replaced because it's so hard to pin down something with so many options. So
way to pull back the fourth wall and just make it all meaningless, John.
It's not meaningless.
Just
Fun.
pretend. No, it's like, kayfabe, bro. Kayfabe. This is cement. See, mine is concrete.
Oh.
Will never change.
Never going to change.
unless something new comes up to bump it off.
Wow.
Mine is
Okay.
set in stone.
That's some
Okay.
dedication right
I'm going to
there.
find a way to foil that plan. Well, should we dive right into
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
list
go for
and
it,
stuff
go
like
for it.
that? Okay, I can go ahead and start then. Let me get my handy-dandy note-taking device out here.
So I assume some will overlap.
Yeah, I think that's what.
So if you read off one at 2 that's like 5 on mine,
yeah,
I'll mention
Well,
that. Should we just?
Well, I was thinking I'll kind of read through them, but I'm not going to put a ton of explanation to each one of them by any means. So I would think if you guys want to stop, if I want to say something additional, I'll say something. If you guys want to stop and say something additional. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how the overlap goes.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons I didn't want to talk about it ahead of time or anything either to see. So, do we do we want to do my whole 10? And,
No, yeah, I
and
think
stop
you should.
for the overlap?
I think you should do your 10.
Yeah.
And we'll just go down the line here.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And then any movies, we'll discuss them as they pop up.
Yep. Like I said, I'll give a couple of explanations as I go through, and one of the points I was bringing up a minute ago was the fact that, like, I don't know if this list would look the same. If I did it cold 2 weeks from now, I got a feeling it'd be slightly different, because there was several movies I really wanted to make the cut that couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's 2 different versions of A Christmas Carol alone that I cut off because Scrooge is already on my list, as we talked about last week.
You sound like you had the opposite problem as me, because I had a real hard time coming up with 10.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also kept having arguments with myself about what counts as, like, a movie or just a short or just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a Christmas special. Does that count as a movie?
I think if it's on your top 10, then it does.
Okay.
In this case,
yeah.
this is this is not a clearly defined rules. I think if you wanted to put the Charlie Brown Christmas on there, you could have.
Okay.
I didn't, but it was in contention with a lot of the stuff.
All right,
so.
got it. Okay.
So part of my preface then is the fact that, like, there's 2 points on my list that are basically placeholders that I think there are probably movies I like more than these, but I felt they needed to be on the list, and one of them is my number 10, which is A Christmas Story. I really like A Christmas Story. There's definitely 10 movies I found that I like more, but I feel that it has such a place in the Christmas movie lore, you know, like it is such a high contender there that I felt really weird doing a top 10 list and not finding a spot for it. So I went ahead and put that one on there.
I hate that movie.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And it's way up at the top of my list.
Well, again, like, I love it. There's just so many that I love that it kind of... number 9 I put on there was Love Actually. Which is big fan of that movie, big fan of that genre, and it's a nice Christmas version of it.
It was kind of the first of those, like,
I feel like it was
ensemble
like
holiday. Is it, you know?
Like a bunch of those came out, and I've never gone back and timelined them. But like, because I feel like it started like 2 years after that when you just started seeing you know, movies that had 15 named actors in them all of a sudden. They were always these rom-coms, and they
all doing a sitcom's worth of work. And mushed together
and some of them are pretty good, some of them are pretty terrible, but I think Love Actually is the best of that bunch, and it's a Christmas movie. So boom, there it goes. Number 8, I put Bad Santa. It's just had so much playtime, you know, and it's one of those movies that I like. It's been done to death since. I mean, we've got Bad Teacher, we've got Bad Moms, we've got Bad whatever, and again, some of those I like.
And even
Horrible Bosses.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, even what's his name? Thornton.
Billy Bob
Thornton.
Yeah,
I mean, he did that movie 5 more times afterward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Aside from all the other movies of that vein.
Yeah. But when I go back to the original here, and I can still watch this movie today and laugh as much as I did in like 03, you know? Number 7, I got Home Alone, the John Hughes Christmas classic there.
Nice.
Number 6, I really wanted this one to be higher, but I got it in at 6. I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Oh, a good one.
JTT movie?
Yep, the Jonathan Taylor Thomas holiday classic, which is one.
Likes that
Yeah,
movie
dude,
a lot.
I've watched that movie every year for a decade at least.
Yeah,
You know, I love that movie. My wife loves it. We haven't gotten into the kids yet, but in a couple of years here, I'm sure they're gonna love it. It's just a fun time. Number 5 is my other placeholder I talked about. I put 1 at 10 and 1 at 5. Number 5, I threw in Die Hard, which is its own argument about whether it's a Christmas movie or not.
And I knew it was going to come up, and I was wondering if, like, because that's a Christmas adjacent movie, right? Because it's not like a
however
Christmas
you want to define it,
movie,
exactly.
But it happens during Christmas,
yeah.
like Gremlins and Batman Returns, and lots of other movies that happen during Christmas.
All movies I kept eyeing on lists.
I know,
I want to find a way to get them in there. You know,
Gremlins and Die Hard are movies that people always throw out there as favorite Christmas movies.
And it's one of those. It started off as one of those things where people would do it just to make the argument almost. And then it really became an argument, and now it's almost cliche to argue either way.
Yeah,
like I said, I feel that this is a subjective category. If you think it's a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas movie. If it puts you in the spirit, then you're there.
I super don't care either way. And
and my point for getting it on there, because again, I will say from a Christmas perspective, there's 10 movies I like a more how do I say that? There's 10 movies that I think are better Christmas movies, but Die Hard's one of those movies where you have to go out of your way to specify a category to keep it off of my top 5 or top 10 list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I can fit it in, I feel like I have to.
That makes sense.
And I definitely can in this case. So that's my number 5. I got a number 4, Jingle All the Way. A little bummed out it's that low. But
me too.
But love it. Number 3, I've got It's a Wonderful Life, which I actually just watched earlier today, and that's one. It's
so good.
Yeah, it's so amazing. I love that movie. I don't want to say too much about it.
It's not on my list because it's my Thanksgiving movie, but I love that movie.
Well, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. But I love that movie.
Because it's another one, too, that, like, I mean, there's a lot of that movie that doesn't have anything to do with Christmas.
Yeah.
You know? That's a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, I think it was, and most of the, even throughout the year, I've seen that movie 15 times at this point.
Yeah.
And throughout the year, when I'm not thinking about it, I think of the whole movie as the last half hour.
Right.
Yeah.
But it counts. So, all right, that was my number 3. And
your 2.
My number 2 is Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
which is another one. I'm assuming there's going to be a ton of overlap. That's another one. I've
Clark?
probably watched that movie at minimum once a year since
throw me
like
down,
1989 when it came out. Yeah, we quote it constantly. We've got friends who quote it constantly. We've got a restaurant in our town here that's themed after that movie.
Yeah, Cousin Eddie's.
We really do. It's a place
Eddie's.
called Cousin Eddie's. Cousin Eddie's, and it's got the stuff all over the walls, you know. We got a friend who's got a bunch of those Moosehead cups, so we get to drink out of those every year.
I have one of those too.
Yeah,
one of those
nice.
Moosehead cups.
Yeah. So it's just permeated many facets of our life, and I love it. And I laugh as much now as I did at any point through its history. And then my number 1, as we discussed last week, is Scrooged, which is the Bill Murray Christmas Carol version, the modernized, which is funny to say now because it's 30 years old. Yeah. But at the time, it was the modern version of the Christmas Carol story, and I've always been partial to the Christmas Carol story anyway.
Yeah.
And this is just, of the many versions that I love, this is my favorite of them. And I'm a huge Bill Murray fan. So
yeah, totally.
That's my number 1 again. So, all right.
So I struggled with the bottom of my list quite a bit. In fact, I'm like looking at it right now, and I'm still not certain that these are like top 10s. And some of them I did kind of the same thing as you. Like I felt like I put them on there just because I watch them every year, and I'm like, well, it's like such a part of my tradition. I almost feel like I have to put it there. And plus the whole argument about Christmas shorts and stuff. Because one of the things I want to put on there, I guess, is an honorable mention since I didn't put it on there. But one of my favorite things that I have to watch every year at Christmas is one of the old Mickey cartoons called Pluto's Christmas Tree.
Oh.
Which is just like one of the short little like 5-minute cartoons, but it's the one where Mickey goes and chops down the tree and Chip and Dale are living inside of it, and then they bring it inside and decorate it, and then Chip and Dale cause havoc around the house because Pluto keeps chasing him around. I love it. You know, I've just loved it since I was a kid, and I always put it on and watch it, and I specifically love the scenes where like it's the view inside the Christmas tree, like Chip and Dale's perspective and all the lights and everything are in there. Like that just feels like Christmas to me. I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
So anyway, I ended up not putting it on there because I didn't know if that counted because it's just like a 5-minute cartoon. So at number 10, I put the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. And I feel like that's going to get a lot of uhs, you know what I mean? But it's totally become one of those things where like I watch that movie every year with my wife. Because she has always loved it, and now Spencer is obsessed with it, and he will watch that movie, I swear, 15 times during the holiday season. And so I quote it all the time, and there's certain parts of it that legit make me laugh every time I watch it. Like the part where he runs up and pulls the tablecloth out from underneath the stuff, and then runs back and knocks it all over and flips the table. Like that kills me every time.
That is
like,
my favorite part.
I love it. Yeah,
my favorite part. That and when he just goes slunk.
Yeah, when he slunks to the icebox. Yeah. So like, there's a lot about that movie that I do really like. So I put it on there.
I find that that's a really like. There's an age line on that movie. I think, which I'm on the side of that line where I shouldn't like it. But I like the older people I talk to, the people who are about my age and a little older, the people who really grew up on the the cartoon seemed to really be kind of put off by it. But everybody slightly younger than that seems to really like it. And that is the Grinch for a generation of people.
It is, absolutely. I love the cartoon. I really
prefer the cartoon.
Sure. And I prefer the cartoon, but I like the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, and like I said, that's another argument I had with myself. Like, which one of those should I really put on my list? But this one got the edge just because of how often we watch it and
for sure.
how prominent it is in my tradition, I guess. Yep. So that made the list. And speaking of tradition,
my second favorite Jim Carrey Christmas movie.
Yeah. So my number 9 is there only because of nostalgia and no other reason. I put the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special on there.
Nice.
It is not a good movie by any means. It's barely a movie.
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's just so smashed together with a whole bunch of randomness, but it's super nostalgic, and I watch it every year just because it's a Christmas He-Man cartoon, and there you go. It's on my list. Number 8, The Santa Claus, Tim Allen movie.
Yeah.
I really like that movie. I don't like the sequels near as much, but the first one I still like quite a bit. In fact, I just watched it this week, and I still very much enjoyed that movie. So it's actually one of my favorite takes on the Santa mythos. A little morbid in the fact that Santa Claus dies and somebody just takes it over from there, and I don't know.
Well,
but still,
what about the fact that that Santa that died had to have a Mrs. Claus? And,
I know. There's a lot of weirdness to it.
So, what did the elves do with Mrs. Claus before Tim Allen got? You know what I mean?
Like, well, if you count in the mythos that were added by the sequel, where every Santa has to have a Mrs. Claus, otherwise he can't keep his powers.
Yeah.
Yes, that brings up the question of where was the other Mrs. Claus?
Yeah.
And also, I always bring up, how come them elves don't care that this Santa's dead when Tim Allen just comes rolling into the workshop?
They're just used to it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it almost.
Death is a part of life in their world.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it, because they're all 400 years old, 600 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like a common occurrence for them.
I guess. That Santa just straight fell off a roof though and just died. I mean, that wasn't like he died of old age or anything. Like Tim Allen yelled at him and he fell to his death. I mean, but anyway, I like that movie, so it's on my list. Number 7, speaking of Christmas carols, I chose Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Nice.
Because I really like that one. That's one of my favorite versions of the Christmas Carol story. And I know a lot of people like Muppet's Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of people's list.
On mine,
but Mickey's always edges that one out for me personally. I like the Muppet one, but I really like the Mickey one. I have a lot of cartoons on my list.
Hey, that's fine.
Number 6 is Rudolph
Not even
the
kind of
Red-Nosed
surprised.
Reindeer. Yeah, I mean, that's me. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I know, the Rankin and Bass special, the classic. That's one of those things that a lot of people have recently started, hating. And I've always still loved it. It's like a thing now where people really hate that movie.
I have never been able, even even as a kid, the claymation stuff freaked me out.
Really?
Yeah. My little brother loved Gumby.
Oh yeah.
I could not watch the Gumby stuff. I could never watch the claymation, any of them. Year Without a Santa Claus, all creeped me out.
Oh, so I love Burl Ives in that claymation short.
Mm-hmm.
I love his rendition of Holly Jolly Christmas and all that stuff. I sing those songs all the time. So that's on my list for sure. Number 5 is Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4 is Scrooged. I have 2 versions of A Christmas Carol on my list.
Yeah, which is totally fine also.
So number 3 is where I put A Christmas Story.
There you go.
It is just absolutely one of my favorite, and definitely that nostalgia plays into that one. And that's one of those things where I feel like our generation specifically probably really has nostalgia for this because that was the one that was airing for 24 hours straight on TV, while we were growing up every Christmas season. So it's I feel like so many people know that movie because TBS slammed that movie in front of us every year, and that's how I discovered it. But it's another one of those movies that I quote it all the time. It's got a lot of quotable moments in it, just like Christmas Vacation does. I feel like, it's a major award, and I say stuff like that all the time. So
it started a trend too because they've done that 24 hours of A Christmas Story for however many years now, and now there's other. I find other holidays where they do other movies will they'll do 24 hours ones. I think it was Freeform this year. I noticed. I think was it Hocus Pocus or something like that. They did for 24 hours on Halloween.
I have no idea.
It was definitely a movie. I feel like it was Hocus Pocus. But there's other holidays where I've seen that too, where they just start playing something for 24 hours, and every time I see one, I just smile real big because I'm like marketing.
Yep. Number 2 is where I put Christmas Vacation, and you said everything It's just amazing. That movie makes me laugh so hard no matter how many times I watch it. I love it so much. And then my number one, of course, as mentioned last week, is Jingle All the Way. It's amazing. I quote that movie more than anything else, probably. It's so absurd, but like, it's supposed to be. And that's the thing about that movie. Like, I always feel like, and I think it's gotten better now, because I think a lot more people admit to loving that movie now than they used to, because I feel like that's one of those movies where people, like people would like that movie ironically, but I've always loved it unironically.
Yeah.
Like, I legitimately love that movie, but it's over the top on purpose. Like, that movie was made to be like a cartoon, and that is, everybody overacts, everybody's outrageous. I mean, all these ridiculous cartoony moments happen, and it's hilarious all the way through.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. The performances are so great in that. Phil Hartman is amazing in that movie.
Love Phil Hartman.
Arnold is hilarious. Sinbad is amazing in that movie. I mean, come on, dude. Nobody likes Booster. It's amazing. Get out of here, Booster.
I like there's a couple of like Chris Parnell shows up in there.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't catch that until after he was somebody. But it's always fun every time I watch that movie. I'm like, oh, awesome. I know my wife hates it. I think your wife is not.
I think she tolerates.
Totally, yeah. She's not enthusiastic about it. I know that much.
I love it. I love it so
well,
much.
we get so overzealous for
Yeah,
it. Like,
we do.
Like we probably ruined it for them.
Yeah. Well, the problem is we would try to get together every year and watch a bunch of Christmas movies for a day. Except pretty quickly into that realm, like, we all had these ones like, we have to watch this one, and now all of a sudden it's like, we don't watch Christmas movies all day, we watch these 4 Christmas movies once a year.
Jingle All the Way, Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Those were definitely there all the time.
I will say what made me happy is I watched it with my kids last year, thinking, like, I'm going to turn this on, and they're going to care to the extent that there's something on.
Yeah.
But, I don't know that they'll care yet. But they were both really into it the whole time.
Awesome.
I was like, maybe super happy.
It's so good. Oh, it's amazing. All right, Jaron, you're up.
All right, I'm up. So starting at 10 is White Christmas with Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye and Rosemary Clooney. It's old. I love that movie.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Really?
It's at least not all the way through.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just in like an old style crooner Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they sing. They just bounce from situation to situation where they have a reason to sing a Christmas song. And it's kind of a Road to movie, but not quite. I love it. Number 9 for me was Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Nice.
I have to give an honorable mention to the Christmas Carol with Patrick Stewart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which I think is the best interpretation.
Okay.
Of the Christmas Carol. What edged out Mickey's, or what edged in Mickey's for me, was that I used to have a record of it.
Oh, cool.
So like a record of it with like the storybook, and so I would listen to that over and over again. I listened to that more than I ever actually saw it, but like the whole thing is just ingrained in my mind from being a little kid. Number 8 is It's a Very Merry Muppet Movie.
Oh, nice.
Which is this wacky Muppet movie that it's basically It's a Wonderful Life, but for Kermit. It's one of my favorite Muppet movies. It's one of the more modern ones, so it's got like Pepe and
when did they make
King
that?
Prawn.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what year that was.
Like how real? I mean, I guess Pepe's been around for 20 years now. So
it was probably. I mean, it was after Muppets in Space.
Okay. It's like 96, I think.
Probably later than that. It was probably in the early 2000s. I believe if we checked it.
That's when I was saying when Muppets was Space from somewhere after that.
Yeah. But I think it's got some of the best Muppet gags.
Well, that's the reason I'm so perplexed is like I'm not even positive I've seen that, and that's weird for me to miss a Muppet movie.
Yeah.
except you have
I?
Because it's the one where they do Moulin Scrooge with the I've shown it to you twice, actually.
Okay.
With the penguins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
How did I forget about it now?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
You forgot about it the first time, because I showed it to you once, and The second time we watched it, I remember, like, you didn't remember until the Penguins came out. When the Penguins came out, you were like, I have seen this. Number 7, Daddy's Home 2.
Daddy's Home. I haven't seen the second one yet.
Just like, well, it's from last year.
Just from last year.
Just from last year.
I didn't know it was a Christmas.
Instant classic.
I didn't know it was a Christmas movie.
100%.
I need to watch it.
It's so funny.
I need to watch
it is so good. It is not only like it's a sequel that, and like I just watched both of them back to back yesterday. Just as funny as the first one.
Yep.
So it's one of those sequels that's like that,
Oh,
but
man.
it's all Christmas.
enjoy the
I'm a
first
little
one.
mad at myself right
Yeah.
now. Because, like, I was a big Daddy's Home supporter. Like, that was one of those movies that I went and saw randomly. I was like, this will probably be fine, and loved, and tried to show a bunch of people. And got super excited when they announced the sequel, especially with the cast, and wanted to take my nephew, who's one of the people I showed the first one to, so I was going to try to go with him to see it. And, like, the second weekend I was out, I was like, hey, we got to go see Daddy's Home 2. He's like, yeah, I already saw it. I'm like, oh. Well, maybe we'll go again. But the urgency wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was like, well, the first one we watched a bunch on Prime when it hit Prime, so I'll just wait for it to hit Prime. So even when it came out, I was like, I'll just wait. It'll be on Prime soon. And then it did that thing where it showed up on Prime, and it's been there for months probably. But I do that thing I think I've talked about before where I'm like, cool, that movie's finally out. I don't feel like hitting play now, though. And then I just never hit play on it. And so now I still have it. And now I'm excited. I'm a little bit excited because I realize it's a Christmas movie. I'll definitely watch it in the next couple of weeks. But now I'm more mad at myself for having missed it this far.
You gotta wait till Christmas.
Yeah.
Did you watch it this week?
I got to.
Number 6 for me is The Santa Claus, Tim Allen. I like that one too. Number 5 is Where Christmas Vacation lands on mine.
Top 5 still good.
Yeah. Number 4, and you were worried about like what's a Christmas special versus what's a Christmas movie. So number 4 is actually occupied by 2 Christmas specials for me, which are the Prep and Landing.
I've never seen Prep and Landing.
Oh,
that's
so
that
good.
Disney one, right? With
Yeah.
the elves.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're so good. There's Prep and Landing, and then like Prep and Landing, I think it's called Naughty versus Nice.
Okay.
They're so good. They're
I've never
amazing.
watched them, but
Yeah, I haven't either.
I need to.
I own them. And
I will just be honest. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, they were.
So it's the same. So there's these elves that go and they're basically they go ahead of Santa, and they're like special ops elves, and they go ahead and they go in and they make sure like there's cookies out. They make sure that the milk is a proper temperature. They make sure that the tree is trimmed to a proper height to allow for the presents. They have little like sleeping gas balls that they put any dogs to sleep with and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then they lay out like a flashing landing strip on the roof for Santa when he shows up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so then the second one, Naughty versus Nice. There's like coal elves that come and bring naughty kids the coal, right? Well, there's like a naughty kid that like captures a couple of them and hacks the nice list and changes everybody. Does he change everybody naughty? Oh, I just watched it and I can't remember. Either changes everybody to naughty or changes everybody to nice.
Yeah.
And so they got to go in and retrieve the piece of tech that he took from the elves to redo it. It's and they're so good. They're so funny and they're short. They're easy to watch.
Say, what format are they? I mean, how long are they? Are they TV specials?
Yeah,
They were
they're
TV
like half an hour.
specials.
Not even half an hour. They're like 20 minutes each. They were TV specials. So
nice.
Yeah, but they're so good. So that's my number 4. My number 3. Are you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
This one might blow your
I'm
mind
excited.
because it's The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh. Yeah, I gotta go back and rewrite my list. That's so good. That's so good. Well done.
Yeah. I watch it. It's one.
Why isn't Greg Bierko a superstar?
I have no idea.
Doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea. Movies so good. Gina Davis, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
You don't seem like you even know what we're talking about.
Oh man, yeah.
Never seen it. I've heard it come up on Christmas lists before.
It's an action. I've never thought of it as a Christmas movie, but it's an action classic from the
feel
mid-90s.
Like I feel like it is more Christmassy than Die Hard
I'm
is.
Totally fine with that now that you say it. I've just never thought of it. You know what I mean? Like I never saw the Die Hard argument for it, so it never dawned on me.
Yeah, you could definitely make that argument, you know, the same genre argument as with Die Hard, but I think it's even more Christmassy than Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's all we got to show Danny.
All right.
I just remembered reindeer games existed.
Oh, reindeer games, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Everybody rewrite their list.
Reindeer games wouldn't make it on. I like
Reindeer games is still only my second favorite Ben Affleck Christmas movie.
Yeah. So number 2 for me is The Family Stone.
Never seen that either.
I know what it is.
It's
but
good.
I haven't seen
Yeah, Derma. Well, everybody. It's an ensemble. One of those family pieces. I love that movie, and I always have to commend that movie. Like, I think it's a great movie, but I also have to commend it because they cast Sarah Jessica Parker as just the worst. so you know, everybody never likes Sarah Jessica Parker because she's the worst.
Yeah.
In this movie, that's
just who she plays.
Yeah, she is so good at being the worst. And then number 1 is This Christmas. It's funny. This Christmas and Family Stone, very similar. You know what I mean? Like, one's an all black cast, one's a mostly white cast. You know, they're definitely like two sides of the same coin. So,
yeah.
So they landed 1 and 2 for me.
Awesome.
Yep.
Concrete, never gonna change.
Never gonna change. Didn't you just add one of them on there last week? Daddy's Home too?
Last year.
Oh, last year.
Well, he did say when something new comes
if something new comes out that bumps him down.
Bumps him down.
Yeah.
What did that bump off?
I want
it. It probably would have bumped off. I can't remember right now.
Probably Jingle All the Way.
We
should go watch Jingle All the Way right now so we can put it back on your list. Yeah,
can we just turn the camera around and have this episode being the audience watching us watch Jingle All the Way?
Like, we'll put it behind us, like Missing Science Theater.
Yeah. Yes. Yep, I'm in.
So, I thought about putting Christmas Chronicles on mine because of how high on I am on that movie now, but I've got kind of a not an unbreakable rule by any means, but I've got a sort of a personal rule of like never walking out of something going, that's the best one yet.
Yeah.
Because every time there's like a Marvel movie or whatever, immediately it's like, oh, it's their best work yet, and you look back and go, yeah, will it be in 6 months?
Yeah,
it's really good.
I mean, it was great,
but yeah,
best.
So I always kind of like I never allow myself to put a top anything ranking on something that's less than like 6 months old.
Yep.
You know, just because I want to see where it really like falls in. But I can tell you right now, like next year, mine will probably change just based on that, which isn't exactly the same as a fluctuation. That fits more into your rule of new stuff can come in.
Yeah.
But just another honorable mention, I guess. But I could go on for another half an hour on honorable mentions alone. I could have done a top 25 list probably.
Dang.
With relative ease, but they fall off on quality pretty drastically at some point.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Or quality is probably the wrong term because I got some technical stinkers up there
I was gonna say, like,
on my list, but you know what I mean.
There's a bunch of movies that we watch every year too that I didn't even want to put on my list, but like we watch Christmas with the Cranks every year, and like I don't know, that movie's fine. My wife loves it, and that's why I watch it every year, and I like it fine. But I don't feel like that's
like the week after Christmas, you blow through the 5 Christmas movies that are amazing, and then you start watching like, well, Christmas with the Cranks and 4 Christmases and
4 Christmas.
4 Christmases. Yeah,
I forgot about that one too.
You know what I mean.
And
then there's a bunch of like the Hallmark and ABC Family.
Yeah.
We will watch. We will, given the opportunity, we will sit around and watch. And Netflix does a bunch of them now. They just have all these Hallmark movies that are just Netflix movies, but they're at that Hallmark level. You know.
Yep.
They suck, but I enjoy them. They're just fun to sit down and watch.
Yeah, what's Chasing Christmas? That's the other one my wife watches every year.
Man, she loves that movie.
I think it's one of those made-for-TV movies, like a Hallmark movie or something. But it's like Tom Arnold, and it's like it's a version of A Christmas Carol. But like it's so wacky.
The premise is awesome. I've just never watched it.
Yeah. So the premise is that the ghost of Christmas Present or Ghost of Christmas Past. It's the Ghost of Christmas Past. It's like the first ghost just decides, I don't want to do this anymore. And so he leaves Tom Arnold stranded in the past. And so it's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's just, it's real cheesy and you can tell it's low budget stuff.
Yeah.
But we watch it.
You love it. Yeah. You love what you love. You see something. You see something at the right day, and all of a sudden you love it forever. I was going to say with Christmas with the Cranks, it's another. Like I enjoy it fine. I don't love it, but it's watchable. But every time that movie comes on, my head almost falls off at the beginning because as you're watching through the credits, I'm reminded it's based on a John Grisham novel. Yeah. I'm like, every time that comes up, I'm like, huh? The log guy? All right, whatever.
It's got Aykroyd in it, too.
Yeah, it does.
Frohmeyer. Just the worst neighbor ever.
I
mean, he's pretty awful.
What about at the end when he fixes everything?
I mean, he fixes everything, but he's one of those, like... I don't know, man.
He's real nosy. I'm not saying he's the best ever. I'm saying he pulls... He really... At the end, he totally redeems himself.
Yeah. I have a real hard time with the movies that are structured like that, where the main character does nothing but make bad decisions.
Yeah,
like the Ben, like I think of about like the Ben Stiller movie.
Yeah,
and that's almost one of those where I have a hard time. I don't hate the movie. I usually watch it.
Yeah,
but I have a hard time investing just because I can't get behind. Every time he does, I go, "What? Who would think this is a good idea?
Yeah.
How is this? How is this?"
That's what I always get mad about too, because I'm like, "Look, you guys can take your vacation, but do you have to be so crazy about all this other stuff you're going out of your way to cause problems about?" Like, not buy this Christmas tree that's only $30 or whatever, and all this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he causes.
Why are you the biggest jerk ever?
He causes way more chaos than needed for the sake of making the movie
because his mentality is to skip Christmas. That's his goal, and he's not going to let anybody else, put it through. Which I can see. I don't know. Why are we having this conversation about? We just
Danny, don't you have a topic?
Yes. Actually, your topic's next.
Oh, it's my topic next. Sorry.
Do it. Okay, so there's our Christmas movies.
That's our Christmas.
You go watch all of our movies. You got a week to do it.
Yep, and we want feedback on every one of them. I want a 5-paragraph essay
we need
on all 30 of these movies. And I know there was some overlap, but I expect you to watch those multiple times and write multiple essays on them.
And Jingle All the Way better be your favorite.
It doesn't have to be.
Yes, it does.
All right. So my topic, I came across these Star Wars Galaxy of Adventure shorts. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're on YouTube.
Yes.
And the channel is Star Wars Kids.
Yep.
Okay, and they are 1-minute shorts that are basically they're cartoons, but they used the audio from the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
To put together, they're kind of like little preprepackaged. I mean, they could be commercials or like shorts or backs. I don't know what you call them.
Like a sizzle reel.
Yeah, it's like a sizzle reel.
That's
Good,
yeah.
And I just am like totally taken by these things. First of all, I think they're awesome. I think they are awesome.
So I hadn't even watched them until you brought this up. I've seen them advertising them. I've seen, because, I follow the Star Wars Twitter account and everything. So I've seen that these exist, but I've never clicked on them until you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about these. We got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so I was
they
all
just popped up like 2 Fridays ago.
Yes. They're brand new.
Yep, I had not seen any of them. And all of a sudden one popped up on my feed, and I was like, "What is this?" And
they're still releasing them too, because one of the ones I watched earlier said 2 days ago they just posted. So they're still putting them up.
Yep. But I think they're so cool. But there's 2 things about one. I think it's very interesting that they are done like how we remember Star Wars.
As soon as you said that to me, I was like, that is the perfect way to explain what these are. Because I was trying to figure out, I was watching them and I was like, I really like these. The animation's actually really cool.
Yep.
And I like that they're using the real, voice clips from the movies. And they're kind of just they're exciting me. They're making me want to go turn on the movies. Yes. So, are these supposed to be, commercials for these movies that have been out for all these years? Or, what exactly is this? And then you were you said that to me. You were like, they look like they're what your memories of these movies are, but not actually how the movies are.
Yeah.
The way that they're, you brought up the Han Solo one, and it's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's the Escape from Mos Eisley's.
Yeah.
If I said that right.
Yeah.
And so, at first it shows Han Solo with, the Millennium Falcon's starting to take off behind him, and it's blowing dust everywhere, and he's just standing in the middle of it all, looking awesome.
Yeah.
And then 100 stormtroopers come running out and set up 50 of those guns and start shooting at him, and he jumps on the back of the Millennium Falcon and is firing after him.
Yeah.
And and it's so epic and this is awesome. And you go back and watch Star Wars, that is not how that scene happens. You know what I mean? But that's how you remember that.
Kind of that way,
Yeah.
but not quite that epic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the version of the story that Han tells.
Yeah.
No doubt.
About the story later. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, and it's the version, like I said, it's the version the way we remember it. It's the version I would tell.
Remember that scene where Han was jumping in the back of the Falcon?
Yeah, and there's all these stormtroopers firing at him.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it feels like. I specifically liked the Palpatine one,
Yep.
which is the other one we were talking about, because it's the scene from Jedi where Luke's his prisoner and he's kind of explaining everything to him. So he goes into the whole thing this whole thing's been orchestrated and going according to plan, and then immediately it jumps back and you see the recap of all the Palpatine stuff from Episode 1 through Episode 3 and the fall of the Republic and the rise of the Empire, and then it cuts right back to the throne room again from Return of the Jedi and continues that scene, and you're just man, seeing this all seamlessly put together like that, this must be what the inside of George Lucas's brain looked like when he was actually writing this stuff, right? That's it right there. It's all tied together, and I don't know. I thought that was really cool seeing it like that.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was super cool. So the other thing I think about them, though, that they made me start to think about, and I'm not saying I don't have an opinion whether this is good or bad. It's just something that I started thinking about. Is I feel like this is kind of the beginning of uncoupling the Star Wars mythos from the movies and from specifically the actors. You know what I mean? Because now you take these things. If they make 10 more of these things, you can take them, show them to a kid, and that kid knows the Star Wars story without ever having seen the movie, without ever having seen, without ever having seen Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher or anything. So it elevates it beyond that.
Yeah. Well, and if you show a kid, the Han Solo short there, and then go show him the movie Solo instead of the Harrison Ford one.
Did you notice
the distinction of the voice, which a kid isn't going to catch?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Did you notice they incorporated some of that into that short though? Because at the part where he says it's the ship that made the Kessel Run, and it shows the Solo style Han Solo because he's wearing that brown jacket and everything. They incorporated a little bit.
Oh yeah, I didn't even catch it.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it seems like a way that they're kind of doing that, they're tying the story of all those movies together, but like you said, just kind of detaching them from the actual films and making cliff notes. They're making cliff notes for these movies.
Yep.
That's what I can't figure out the point behind them. I mean, like you guys just said.
But you're bringing up a good point too, because it's on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel.
Right.
That's not the main Star Wars channel. It's their kids channel.
Yeah.
So they're making those for little kids to say,
look,
here's the story of Star Wars, kids.
Indoctrination.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I gotta show my kids those immediately because my kids are real weirdly I don't know how.
You mean the shorts or the movies?
The shorts, because I've shown them most of the movies.
Oh, okay.
And I just can't get them into it.
Yeah,
and it's the.
I was talking about this a
so
little
me
bit
and Danny
earlier.
were talking about this.
Me and Jaren were having. It's painful. Yeah. So I haven't shown Spencer any Star Wars yet at all. And it's because I'm saving it because I want to actually be able to sit down with him when he's ready to really focus on a movie like that and actually experience Star Wars for the first time like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that's going to work. I have no idea what the chances are of, you know what I mean? I know he's not ready for it yet. I don't feel like he's the right age for it or to really understand what's going on or anything like that. And there's part of me that really wants to be able to surprise him with the Darth Vader reveal. And I don't know how possible that is this day and age, but I think that'd be really cool if I could actually surprise him with the Darth Vader reveal.
I wouldn't count on it.
That's the thing,
that's
though.
Probably already been ruined for him
Well,
at
I mean,
school.
he doesn't know. Okay, so he knows. He knows who Darth Vader is. He knows the name, he knows the character, and he knows lightsabers because he thinks those are cool. That's the extent of his knowledge on Star Wars right now. So I'm kind of torn because like these do look really cool, and I think he would actually like these. And that would be a fun way to get him into Star Wars, but I don't know if that's how I want him to get into Star Wars.
You know, I took the same mentality, but I always thought like I was watching these movies when I was that age.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
I mean,
not me. I was a little older when I got into them for the first time.
See, I was watching them from when they were on home video, so I mean, I probably would have been. I don't think there's any way I was older than 5 when I started watching them. And so they were all out by then, but they just sort of became part of my... I know I watched them before I knew or cared anything about story structure. They were just cool things happening in a movie. And then, but I still fell in love with them and watched them and kept watching them until I understood all that stuff and then found new ways to fall in love with them and all that sort of stuff.
Mine was always, I knew of Star Wars all growing up. Like I knew, and I knew like the basics of it and the things that everybody kind of knows about Star Wars. But I was way into Star Trek like my whole childhood. I still love Star Trek. I love The Next Generation. But it was because of how much I love The Next Generation that I finally really sat down and watched the Star Wars movies. So I was like probably 11 years old.
Way up there.
When I like for real watched Star Wars.
That impresses me more how much.
And then I like totally fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I totally fell in love with it. But I always talk about how I'm kind of like a late bloomer with the Star Wars stuff as far as like our generation goes.
Yeah. See, it was a while.
I love it.
Before I saw the movies, because I remember sitting in our kitchen with my mom, like telling me the story of the first Star Wars.
Oh wow!
Like of New Hope. Like my mom told me
like
and kind of
like
acting it out. I mean, a little bit, honestly. Like I remember.
Did she act like she came up with it?
So no, it wasn't like that.
That'd be amazing.
But like, so one of the things, for whatever reason, I imagined Ben Kenobi as kind of a big fat guy.
Really?
And I still have the memory, like I still have that competing memory.
Isn't that crazy?
Of Ben Kenobi.
That's like when people read books and then they see movies and the characters look completely different in the movies the way they always pictured them in books.
But then I saw Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It was out on VHS. But then before I ever even saw New Hope and Empire, I had listened to the radio broadcasts.
Oh, cool!
Of those, so I had listened to all that because my uncle had like cassette copies of those that he gave me, lent me, whatever that he had recorded like off the radio.
Yeah,
and so like I got to listen to those before I ever saw Star Wars, the actual movie itself. So. But I love them. I still thought they were good. You know, like then when I saw them, I wasn't disappointed. Although I could never tell you, I could not for the life of me put an age on that for me.
Really? Yeah. It's weird though because like I always look back at that and I'm like, man, I was kind of older when I fell in love with them, but I don't know. I love them so much that they really.
What perplexes me about my kids is because like before Episode 7 came out, I watched them all with my daughter, and that would have been what 2 years. It was a Christmas movie. Was that 3 years ago?
Almost. Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, so she was about 4 then, which I thought was a little too young, but I just decided it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I thought she would get a kick out of the new one because I knew it had. Like some female main characters and stuff. We didn't know a lot going in, but through just the marketing, we knew some of that stuff was coming. And so I had her watch all of them, and I think we did them 1 through 6, not like 4 through 6 and then 1 through 3, I think. But I knew that part didn't matter because she wasn't going to be retaining a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And she never got excited about them like she did some stuff, but she watched them all and she enjoyed them all, and she'd be excited right afterwards. But then by the time the next one came around, I was like, okay, whatever. And then we saw 7, and she fell in love with 7. She loved Rey. She was super into it for like a month or whatever, and then any other time, like it would come up, be like, hey, you want to watch some Star Wars? No. Why? I don't know.
Because I'm a kid and I'm on to other things right now.
I thought you liked Rey. And she's like, oh, the one with Rey? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, maybe. You know, I'm like, what? You know, and then my son, who is 4 now, like, I've tried to get him to watch them a couple of times, and I just can't get any interest at all. So I haven't pushed it like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because I also chalk the other thing up to it as like, you know, maybe girls just aren't as into it at that age as boys are, especially the older ones.
Yeah.
But maybe with him it'll be a little bit different. Maybe that's just one of those things. I don't know. But like, I was watching episode 7 before 8 came out, like that day of or week of or whatever, and he kind of stumbled into the room and was hooked. And I was about a half an hour in when he came in, and couldn't get him away from the rest of that movie. We actually had to pry him away about an hour in because he had to like leave or whatever. But I promised him I would keep it around because I had rented it. I promised him I would keep it around, and I made sure Christy played it for him later that night, and he finished it up, and he was excited about that one. And then I immediately, like within the next week or two, tried to get him to go back and watch like some of the older ones, and just couldn't get him to care.
Man,
it's really weird.
Maybe you should be the good test with these cartoons for us then.
Yeah,
and see if they.
So I'm gonna start playing these, because if I play anything off of YouTube for them, they're into it.
That's what you do.
You know,
look at these new YouTube videos I found, kids.
Yep. So I'm gonna try that. Also, just a hilarious side note, and then I'll stop talking about my kids for a while. We filmed something like Caitlin, the 7-year-old, had a Christmas pageant or whatever, and I filmed it with a camcorder, and I told her like I had filmed it or whatever, and she immediately was like, "Am I on YouTube?"
That's the mentality now, man.
Yeah. So that's the world we live in now.
Yep, totally.
It's on camera. It must be on YouTube.
Unbelievable. Am I on YouTube?
Yep. So, all right, everybody, go check those out and tell us what you think about them.
Yeah.
Star Wars Kids is the channel, and they're the Galaxy of Adventures
Galaxy
shorts.
of Adventures. And I'm curious to see if they just keep releasing them, too. Like, how many of those they're going to come out with. They're kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch courses a little bit. I wanted to talk about movie trailers today, because there's been a whole bunch of movie trailers coming out.
Is this where we complain about how many of them are in front of movies nowadays?
Oh my gosh. No, you're not. You are not wrong about that.
22 minutes when we went to see Into the Spider-Verse. 22 minutes. That is a sitcom.
Yeah.
That's how long it takes me to watch an episode of Friends on Netflix.
Yeah, it's obnoxious, and that does always get a little tedious when you're doing it, but I'll tell you what, that gets really amped up when you're there with a kid. Because my kid, he gets real, confused. He just keeps going, Daddy, where's Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Daddy, when's Spider-Man going to start? He has
no
idea.
Both of our kids were doing that at
Well, they don't know what they're watching.
Yeah.
They don't know why that's happening. You know what I mean? It's you got to try to explain to them, no, sorry, these are commercials. We have to wait till these commercials are over.
Yep.
I didn't notice it as much on the Spider-Verse, but I saw Creed 2 this week.
Yeah.
And I was seriously checking my phone, what are we doing, guys? Did I wander into the wrong theater? What is going on here? Yeah.
It's bad.
That's what I like. We've got theaters in town where you can select your own seat now.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or go into the regular theaters real late, during the week, because you can find a seat pretty easily. I'll try to go to those circumstances whenever possible so I can show up 15 minutes late.
Man.
Because I just can't. I'm mad by the time my movie starts.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is that also kind of a product of the fact that we just watch these trailers on the internet as soon as they come out now, and so it's
I think that's probably part of it, because there used to be a lot more build up to the I have to see it here. This is the only time I can see it, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not like I'm mad at the first 3 trailers.
Right.
I'm mad at the next 5.
It's the time. I like the I've always liked the trailers, but it is the time. It's ridiculous now.
I mean, I worked in theaters for a long time in my youth, up through not being so young at all. But we used to have a pretty strong mandate. 5 was a little too many. If they were short, you might be able to do 5, but we could only have about 10 minutes worth of actual trailers, and then we had a couple of minutes worth of the company commercials and stuff like that. But they kept it real strict. We want that movie to start within about 12 minutes tops, And now it's just like blown through the water.
AMC don't care.
Or blown out of the water.
Can this whole segment just be complaining about AMC? Because, man, I got real mad at them. The other day, okay, so I tried to order. I went up to the concession stand, and I ordered a small slushie and a small popcorn for Spencer, and they told me that I can't buy a small popcorn and a small slushie together. They're only allowed to sell those to me together if I buy a medium popcorn. That was legitimately one of their rules.
What?
How is that a thing?
That doesn't...
Like, they're on the menu,
Yeah.
but I can't order both of those together. If I order them together, I have to buy a medium popcorn.
Oh, man. Okay.
That's insane.
So I got real mad, and I said...
I'm going to do some investigating.
Yeah. So
That's
I
insane.
said, that is completely absurd and a total ripoff. And then the dude just, like, tried to give me some spiel about how the movie theaters don't make any money off the movies, and the only reason that the theater exists is because of the concession stand. And I was like, you're probably right, but that doesn't make me any happier about this. Like... That's ridiculous.
I think my first reaction
I don't need a medium popcorn.
Not
for this
my
little kid.
problem, bro.
Yeah. Like,
I'm pretty
look.
sure. Like I would have just.
Also,
I would have
your
just
popcorn sucks, AMC.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad.
I like it.
I don't know.
I've had bad batches, but overall, I like it.
I don't know, man. Like, because I love going to the movies, but man, they make it real hard to like.
I mean, it's a rough patch we're going through.
Yeah.
I will say that because I've got the perspective where I can usually be on the theater side for a lot of stuff, and I still have a lot of friends who work there, and most of them are still pretty good at it. But there are a couple of people in a staff of 40, and so I go in a lot of times where I'm like, do I need to come back there and do this? Well, it's going to look real weird when I do, but if you don't fix this, I'm going to.
Well, can we also kind of just throw in here how stupid I think the little, like when the director comes on and is like, I remember going to the theaters with my grandpa, and now I get to make movies, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out to the theater to see this movie.
There's there's a war against streaming stuff, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
they feel like they are like don't watch streaming services, come to the theater.
Yeah, which is totally funny because their weapons in that war are like, maybe we'll just browbeat people into coming and giving us money.
Yeah.
Like, we'll provide a miserable experience. We'll make it super expensive. We won't give a crap about your needs or wants or comfort.
Yeah.
And then we'll yell at you for staying home and watching movies on your gigantic television that cost you $150 now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I'd have told that guy at the concession stand immediately. I'd have been like, fine, just give me the small icy. And then when I finished that transaction, I'd have been like, now may I have a small popcorn?
I should have done that. No, you're totally right. That's exactly what I should have done. I thought about that after the fact. I was too mad. I was so mad.
I don't blame you a bit.
I probably would have walked away without buying anything.
Yeah.
Well, don't give me anything then.
Yeah. And I'm not the person that gets mad at like people in food businesses or anything, because I understand, but I was mad at this dude. I was just like I told him, I was like, that is such a ripoff and totally ridiculous. Man, this is not our topic at all, but this is fun. This should be a topic at some point. And basically it is right now.
I think we're there. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Get that out. I was super mad.
Yeah,
I could go for a while.
So I I didn't buy popcorn at this last movie because of that.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, sorry, kid. Like, I'll get you a slushie, but that's it.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We don't need that giant
I'm
popcorn.
going to do some investigating on that and find out what the heck's going on there.
That's ridiculous. Anyway, trailers. A bunch of good trailers just came out for a bunch of movies that are coming out next year that I want to see, and I thought we could talk about some of those trailers.
Yeah. So let's watch some now.
We come back to the screen? I don't have a screen back there.
All right, let's just talk about them.
So, the funny thing is while we were recording last time,
the
middle of recording, they dropped a new Captain Marvel trailer, and it was so silly because immediately Jaren texted us and said,
I was on my way home and I got an email that was like I didn't get it till I got home.
I
didn't check my phone.
Didn't check while you were driving. No, okay, we're on to it. But also I walked upstairs after recording and Christina was like, did you guys talk about that new Captain Marvel trailer? And I was like, what Captain Marvel trailer? She's like, the one that dropped while you guys were recording. And I was like, no, what? Yeah, so that happened. So Captain Marvel trailer. What'd you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Got to see a scroll, which made me happy. Got to see a lot more of the costume and stuff. We had seen some of that stuff, but more of her in action. Somebody was complaining that the storyline looked way too much like Green Lantern to me. I was like,
everybody keeps saying that. I keep seeing people related to Green Lantern.
It's one of those things where once I heard it, I can see the relation, but it's not didn't feel the same to me at all.
Man, that's just people trying to bury it.
Yeah, probably.
You know, like how can we associate this with something that sucks? Because it's a chick movie, and there's the nerd war on chicks. Yep.
Oh, okay.
There is.
So that cat, is that cat a Skrull?
The cat's got to be something.
Right?
Don't some of the toys come with? You're the toy guy. Didn't I see some of the toys come with the cat?
Well, I saw a bunch of people got mad about spoilers because right after that trailer dropped, Hasbro revealed the Captain Marvel toys, the Marvel Legends.
Yeah,
and there's the cat comes with one of the figures. And, okay, this is probably a spoiler, I guess. I saw a lot of people get mad about this.
Yeah.
The Samuel L. Jackson figure, the Nick Fury figure, comes with that cat in shackles. Like he's wearing shackles.
In cat shackles?
Yes.
That's
awesome. In little cat shackles.
Not like a human-sized cat?
No.
Just a regular cat in little cat shackles?
A little cat in shackles.
That's adorable.
and so, like, those pictures got released, and I saw a whole bunch of people get mad, going, spoiler alert, oh my god, Hasbro, bah! So I would assume that cat's a Skrull, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I'm about to say, if it's a movie full of Skrulls, let's just assume that everyone's a Skrull.
Everyone's a Skrull, right? Also, boy, are they going to open some doors.
I know.
In the MCU, right?
I know.
What if they do some kind of craziness where like somebody's been a Skrull the whole time through all these dang movies?
They've done that, like not to that degree at all, but they've done some retconning. Like they did that with Gary Shandling.
Oh yeah.
When they made that he was the senator or whatever in Iron Man 2, and then he showed up later, and you found out he was Hydra.
He was Hydra the whole time.
Yeah. Well, they did that. Yeah. Well, with Ward. In the first season, was it the first season or it was the first season?
Second, I think. He was good all the way through the first. No, it was the first.
It was the first season. Halfway through the first season,
when Bill Paxton showed up.
Halfway through the first seaon, turns out he'd been Hydra the whole time.
With this movie taking place in the 90s, and they're setting the Skrulls in existence on Earth in the 90s.
Well, also in the 90s, half of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still Hydra.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, for sure.
Holy cow. There's going to be all kinds of crazy.
I'm so excited for this movie.
And
it's one of those, like, the build-up is going to be so... My mind is just going to be going, there's a billion awesome things they could do that'll just blow my mind, and it'll probably just be a straightforward story, and none of that'll happen. Yeah. And I'll still be happy if it's of quality, but, like, it's already... The anticipation is just, like, way ramped up more than it would be for a normal... normally for a movie about a character I don't know much about.
Yeah.
The hype is ramped up so much in my mind now because of all the things that it could maybe mean.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and just along that same line, can we just take a second to say how awesome is Brie Larson anyway? Man. Like she's gonna,
Yeah.
I'd go see a terrible Brie Larson. I'd go see a Brie Larson movie that looked terrible.
I love seeing her in the full costume in this, like with the mohawked hair out of the top of the. Oh man, it's so cool. And like I never realized the reasoning for that before. I was reading some stuff afterwards, but like the reason they designed her costume like that in the comics is because she the way her hair comes out of the top of that her helmet or whatever that she wears is supposed to look like the Kree fin or whatever, like the Kree, the top of the Kree's head. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's like there's an explanation for why her hair does that out of the top of her. But I just thought it looked really cool actually seeing her like that in the trailers, looking very comic booky, and it was really cool stuff.
I can't tell, like, is Jude Law a good guy or a bad guy?
We'll see.
Yeah. He's a Skrull.
Okay.
I'm just going to think everybody's a Skrull.
Well, I thought, and again, this is characters I don't know much about, but I thought he was supposed to be like some sort of like mentor character.
Yeah,
but
is he going to be Marvel?
That's what I thought.
Oh, Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
that was my thought, which I thought was some sort of mentor character.
Yes.
Well, Marvel was Captain Marvel.
The original Captain Marvel. Yeah.
So
yeah.
He just doesn't come off as super nice in the trailer, so I couldn't tell what was going on.
I'm excited.
Yep.
That's all I know.
I think it looks awesome.
For sure. I'm super pumped for young Phil Coulson.
Oh man, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Young Phil Coulson, I hope like that. So far, I've been totally cool with the de-aging stuff in these movies. Like I think some people say it's a little off-putting, but I think they've done a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I think they've done great.
So it'll be interesting because we're gonna see a whole bunch of de-aged Sam Jackson throughout this movie.
Two-eyed Nick Fury.
Yeah,
never been done.
Yeah,
never been done.
Never been done. All right, so you want to jump over to the next trailer?
Yep.
All right, let's talk about the Captain Marvel trailer. watched the DC Captain Marvel trailer.
Nice.
Segue.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
2 Captain Marvels in the same year.
I like it.
So Shazam.
Shazam is April. Early April. I was going to say in the same month.
That'd be
but
bonkers.
no. I mean, they're within like 3 weeks of each other. Yeah,
that's so weird.
Yeah,
Who would've
and then
thought,
3 weeks
dude?
after that will be.
Could you ever have imagined 2 Captain Marvel movies coming out at the same time, like big budget, giant?
Yeah,
Captain
it's
Marvel
hard for
movies?
me to imagine a Captain Marvel movie of any version. You know what I mean? Like, still.
I know, it's insane. So I just saw this trailer for the first time, actually, right before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Really?
I hadn't seen it yet. I don't know why I missed it. So that was just a nice surprise, actually, in the giant trailer batch that we watched. I actually really enjoyed it. I think this movie looks super fun.
Yeah,
super fun.
It's superhero big, man. How can you go wrong?
Superhero big.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I don't know a ton about Shazam. I know the basics. I know that he's a kid named Billy Batson. I know that he yells Shazam and turns into a superhero. That's about all I need to know, I think.
Bro, that's all anybody knows. Except
right?
except for like the die-hard Shazam fans.
You're probably right, yeah.
That's all anybody knows about Shazam.
Which is Carl out in Wisconsin.
Carl,
I think he's the one.
He's the one guy. Okay, all right.
Carl and Black Adam. That's it.
Black Adam, yeah.
Yeah, The Rock knows a ton about Shazam now.
Is he still gonna be Black Adam?
real Black Adam.
The real one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he still gonna be
as
Black
far as I
Adam?
know, yes, but in his own solo movie,
Which doesn't have anything to do with it.
that doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
DC
So probably won't be.
DC
but
just be
who
DC
knows?
and all over the place.
Well, my understanding is that it's almost like my understanding is that Black Adam is kind of Namor-esque, and that he's not he's like a king, and so he's got his own king stuff to do, and he was introduced as a bad guy because that king stuff kind of like ran against Captain Marvel, but like really he's just kind of like
more of kind of the anti-hero. My thought is like the few things I knew about Shazam were that he was a kid and he said the word and became a superhero, and then he fought Black Adam.
Yeah.
So like like I don't know why you would do that character in its own thing.
Because they got The Rock to do it.
Well, no, but
I mean,
my point, like, if
that's
you want,
the answer.
why wouldn't you introduce that same way though, where you put him in the same movie as far as that recognition goes, and that way you have the big name fight there, and then spin him off into an anti-hero, and you can still make your own
because they
Black
got
Adam
The Rock
movies
to
there.
do it.
I mean, because
I remember
why wouldn't they use The Rock to sell this movie?
Because
movie.
DC does things wrong.
Okay.
And because I remember
that's my point.
Yes, because I remember when The Rock started talking about it, he was talking about being in the Shazam movie.
Yeah.
And he was like, just signed to be in the Shazam movie, going to be in the Shazam movie. And then I remember seeing tweets where he was like, oh, well, maybe we're going to do my own movie and it's going to be my own thing. You know what I mean? And then like it became that. So like it was 100%, whatever production company was like, who'd be awesome as Shazam or as Black Adam? The Rock. There's no way we'll get The Rock, but why don't we ask him? And The Rock was like, yeah, sounds awesome. And then whoever is in charge of screwing up their movies goes, hold on. If we got The Rock, he needs to be in his own movie. You know what I mean?
That's a total Hollywood thing, though, right? Like, The Rock's the biggest action star in all of Hollywood. We can't just make him a bad guy in this movie. He has to have his own movie. He's got to be the main star. Like, that's a Hollywood thing, right?
I was shocked they just didn't make The Rock Shazam. I mean, I know he's not a white guy, but like, aren't we kind of past that? And how do you not make The Rock? You know what I mean? Like, but again, that comes back to the same thing of why. Well, why wouldn't you just
play that character too?
Yeah, 100%. You know,
I'd have been super into that.
Yeah.
I am super into. Oh, why can't I? Is it Zachary Levi? Is that his name?
I don't know his name, but he looked. He was amazing in that.
Yeah,
trailer.
I love that dude. I was a big Chuck
up.
fan.
Oh yeah.
And that's also Flynn Rider.
Oh yeah,
from Tangled and stuff, and he's been in a couple of Marvel movies, but he didn't matter in them. He was in the Thor movies, 2 of the Thor movies, I think. He was one of
Flynn Rider has my favorite scene in any Disney movie ever.
Yeah.
Which one?
When he's sword fighting that horse with the pan, and he's like, this is the strangest thing that's ever happened to me.
Oh. But yeah, I love that dude, and I'm super excited to see him in this movie.
I thought they made a point to say that this movie wasn't going to be part of their shared movie universe. But Batman and Superman exist in this world because they show that in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, they specifically show, like, the Batarang, and they show Superman, something about Superman, and they're talking about heroes because they're... Like, he knows that he's been turned into a superhero, like these other guys.
Yeah. Again,
right?
DC has said a bunch of stuff. And
None
of it ever means anything.
They're just straight up bad at this.
Yes. Yeah. They are so bad at it. I hope this movie's fun because it looks like it could be its own fun thing. But man, yeah, they are so bad.
I love how even when we're excited about a DC movie, it's like so much like trepidation now. Because it's like, everything looks great, except that we have no evidence whatsoever to this point to assume that any of it will be good at all. Yeah. We're just hoping. Because a lot of their trailers have looked good.
And we also have evidence to the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that they signed The Rock and then took him out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that means they had a movie planned and now they're doing something completely different. You know what I mean?
Good point.
Yep.
Very good point.
It's not like
it's not like at least when they completely changed direction this time, it wasn't 2/3 of the way through production.
Well, the next time everybody hears from us, we'll know about Aquaman. So.
Yeah, I've heard decent things.
I saw Jason Momoa do his best Usos impression on the red carpet. he's getting all this. I mean, okay, and to be fair, it was super cool. Like, it was him and his family doing like the Samoan tribal dance on the red carpet for the movie. But it's getting like crazy mainstream media coverage, and I'm just like, man, the Usos did that every time they came to the ring when they wrestled.
Yep. well, the Usos did it. The Rock has done it. Samoa Joe's done it.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun watching them do it.
Yeah.
Next trailer. Avengers dropped.
Yep.
Endgame? Avengers Endgame is the name of the movie. What do you think about that, Jaren?
Listen, they obviously missed the biggest opportunity of the movies by not going with Avengers Assemble.
Yeah?
You know, that was the biggest, like, they could have built up, like, we've been waiting for Cap to say Avengers Assemble. They've teased it with us a couple times. They've been hiding the name of this movie and teasing it. And I mean, Endgame. So what? Now the Avengers movies are based off of a line that Stephen Strange said, and he's only been in one Avengers movie. Okay, look, this is a screw up on like a Warner Brothers DC level.
Oh man! Wow.
Okay.
Whoa!
I'm not
fired.
I'm not sure I'm even gonna go see the movie if it's named Endgame.
It's bad plan. Bad plan.
Bro, I put an opinion out there on the internet.
I understand.
I am obligated to stand
I get it.
by it.
I understand what you're saying.
With religious fervor.
I think maybe we just calm down for
and explain to everybody else why they're stupid for not doing my thing.
Maybe we just hold off. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, don't make any decisions today. That's my.
Do you even know how the internet works, John?
No, I really don't.
Once you put an opinion out there, you are locked in.
He can't be a sellout.
Have you guys heard of these?
Yeah.
GIFs?
What am I gonna do?
These GIFs.
Yeah.
Have you heard of these GIFs?
They're crazy. They're like moving pictures. You can put them in your little texty tweets.
Your texty tweets. Your tweet books. And your my faces.
How awesome is that trailer? Like, for a teaser. You know, like, I know nothing happens in the trailer, but like, and it's a movie I was already amped up for, but now I'm more amped up.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought the tone was kind of awesome.
Yeah,
like, because they didn't use anything to really like excite you or hype you up or anything, because first of all, they know we're all going to go see this movie, so they didn't need to take that approach, right?
Yeah.
Instead, they played this real somber kind of like almost like a follow-up to everything we just saw in those movies. So it's almost like we got to see a little bit of post what happened at the end of that movie and how it's affected everybody. So it's just like this real somber trailer and everything, and everybody's sad and talking about all the people that are gone now, and like when they they give the confirmation that 50% of the world is just gone.
Yeah.
And it's cool stuff, and you see the flashes, like they're looking at the images of fallen Avengers or people who they think are fallen Avengers.
People they can't find.
People they can't find. Yeah, like they're clearly still looking for people to see if people were snapped out of existence or if they're just somewhere. We get the cool little Hawkeye reveal in the trailer, which is neat that they just threw that in the trailer. So he's totally in full Ronin gear, and he pulls the mask off. Which was something that I think we already knew was coming. I think that was one of those like, because we knew that he was filming. Yeah. Back before Infinity War even came out, we knew that he had been filming, and I think there had been some pictures released of him wearing the Ronin gear. Which, for anybody that's not familiar, he wore that gear in the comics for a while as a character called Ronin that eventually turned out to be Hawkeye that we didn't know was Hawkeye. So I would imagine in the context of this movie universe, he's using Ronin as like a secret identity, since like his whole thing was like he had to move his family to safety and all that stuff. So that's
however many of them are left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe his family got snapped out of existence. Right. You don't know. We don't know.
Well, and they could they could have him look like that and never actually call him that.
That's true.
Sure.
That's
I mean,
the superhero names are kind of backburnered in the MCU anyway.
They've called Bucky White Wolf a couple of times, which when I did the research on that, and apparently that has nothing. Like that is a character that has nothing to do with Winter Soldier or any way they're using him or whatever. They was just like, we're not actually going to use the White Wolf, so let's just drop the name. So there's a lot of things they can do with that. But either way, it's just cool to see. Like,
totally.
The characters.
Well, have
that
they
were
ever
missing
even? I don't even necessarily remember them ever calling him Hawkeye. Have they?
I don't think so.
I think they always call him Barton.
I mean, they always call him
Clinton Barton.
Yeah, Clint. Yeah.
So I mean, and
they might have called him Hawkeye in the first Avengers. Maybe like once.
Maybe like it's
I
another one of those
remember
things.
Cap asking him if he's got a suit.
See, now they do,
because he was a bad guy for half that movie.
Yeah. Now they do
suit up.
They do call Cap a lot, right? Like he's one of the guys that gets his superhero name.
He gets his a lot.
But I mean, they always just call him Tony. They don't call him Iron Man.
Right?
He doesn't say Iron Man. They don't talk to each other with their code names.
Yeah.
Although, they even made that joke with Spider-Man in the last movie,
which is my favorite thing about that.
Using superhero names.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm Spider-Man.
Our made-up names.
My favorite thing about that, and they did it several times. Doctor Strange doesn't correct him, or explain, and they do that. They do that. They do that several times in the Doctor Strange movie, where it's like, he'll say something, and they're like, really, and it's just like, they just go on with the scene. He's not like, look, yes, really,
it's actually my name,
Mr. Doctor, Mr. Doctor.
Mr. Doctor.
It's Doctor, actually. Oh, Mr. Doctor. It's strange. Yeah, but who am I to judge? My favorite scene in that movie.
Amazing.
I've watched that movie because I wanted to see that scene.
That's so good.
Oh, goodness.
So then we got to talk about like the very end of that trailer. Super fun part, of course, where we get to see Ant-Man come rolling up to the Avengers headquarters. I just love that too. The way Cap's reacting to it, because he's like, "Is this old footage?"
He's still so like the Ant-Man goofiness is happening while the same serious tone is going as they pan into Cap and stuff like that, and he's like so intense about it, and Scott's just out there going, "I was big once, and then I'm little. I'm Ant-Man. You remember that, right?"
Yeah. No, you remember that? Yeah. That's good stuff.
I have one big fear now from the trailer, though.
Oh yeah?
I was super excited to get some Nebula and Stark time in, and
she just straight abandoned him.
Apparently, it doesn't look like we get any of that. So I'll be disappointed.
I was gonna say from the beginning of that trailer when he's just like, "Yep, oxygen's just gonna run out tomorrow, drifting away in space. This kind of stinks, whatever." Like, that'll be awesome if that's how the movie starts, and then we just never see or hear from Tony again.
Oh my god, that's just it?
They just never reference it. Just done.
Well, what about how iconic that line he drops right at the beginning? You know, part of the journey is the end.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yep.
Like Tony, you just made a fact.
Yeah.
And a poetry. And a philosophy. You know, like
all of those things.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, man. That's the same thing I thought, though, too. I was like, well, what about Nebula? Where the heck did she go?
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that scene, I was like, man.
I'm real.
She's still a jerk.
I mean, it sounds redundant to say, like, I'm super excited. Because I was super excited before that trailer came out. But I think that was the perfect release right there. Because, again, we talked about it last week. You know, they're really good at not overshadowing the new movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we're going to see real legitimate footage. Maybe it'll be sooner than later. Part of that, I think, may depend on the Spider-Man marketing also.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man's dropping like a month after that, and I don't know exactly how that deal works, but Marvel isn't fully in charge of how some of that stuff goes.
Yeah.
Because I've read that it was some, like a trade show or something like that.
In Brazil.
I think, in Brazil, yeah. They've already shown a trailer for the new Spider-Man movie.
Oh, man.
And I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't seen it, but the reports are that basically like nothing about Infinity War is referenced at all. It's just basically a trailer for this movie. You know?
Well, and what I read or saw or heard was that it's Spider-Man is on a trip in like Paris.
Yeah.
So he's home and meets up with Nick Fury, who needs him to do like some espionage stuff, and maybe Mysterio.
Mysterio's been super.
I've heard that you see Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio in the trailer.
Oh, okay. I didn't read that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
He better have a fishbowl for a head.
I hope so. But that's, going into that, it's like if Sony decides in February they're going to start rolling out Spider-Man trailers, that, which I don't know that Spider-Man's going to be in Infinity War. He might only show up at the last few seconds. Or not Infinity War, in Endgame. So maybe that marketing doesn't matter at all between those two movies.
Right.
I'd be shocked if any of the disintegrated characters made trailer appearances. So probably it doesn't matter, but will that weigh into when they have to do it? But getting back to my original point, like, I don't know if we're going to see a full-on trailer. I don't know when we're going to see it, because waiting until Captain Marvel comes out is only a month before
Can't imagine
Endgame anyway. I can't imagine they wait that long. But at the same time, they're real good about not overshadowing the next movie with the one after that. So I don't know where that's going to land. But for right now, I don't want a bunch of footage 6 months early. I don't want to see a ton of conflict. I don't want to know a lot about the storyline. I just want you to remind me that it's coming, even though I already know. And that's exactly what they did. And they hit those beats perfectly. They put that real somber tone to it. They had that real epic, Stark, the Stark line and the whole voice, the whole story
Stark's
he's telling right there. Yeah, his whole speech, and then they popped in a joke at the end, and now I'm just amped.
Yeah, man. Me too. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great stuff to look forward to for sure next year. It's going to be a good good
Thanos
year.
Scarecrow.
Oh, yeah, the Thanos Scarecrow, his armor?
Yeah. We can't not mention that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't have a follow-up for it.
It was there.
Yep.
It was awesome.
It was there. It was really
awesome.
cool to see it. There's going to be a lot of good stuff next year, though, for sure. And it's kind of amazing. Like, it's going to be a super good Marvel year in general with Captain Marvel and Avengers and Spider-Man, like you mentioned. I mean, we got a lot of good superhero stuff happening in 2019. So I'm excited. So, while we were talking about all that Spider-Man stuff, let's go ahead and use that as our segue into our main topic for this episode, which is all about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the brand new animated film.
Our segue game is just top notch.
We are the best.
Spider-Man, Segway Man, Spegway Man.
Is he just riding one of those little Segway things around?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But it can
He
fly.
comes in and he bridges
So
your...
it's just Paul Blart, Mall Cop.
But he can fly.
he just rolls in and he bridges your conversation.
Oh, I like it.
He makes it's like an ice bridge, like the ice bridges that Iceman makes, except on a Segway. So he can just make like a Segway bridge and go.
What in the world? Where's the fan art? Somebody draw that. Okay.
Segway Man is a Geek Easy Podcast original, copyright TRPM.
We're putting that guy on a t-shirt.
Oh.
All right, so Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We all three went and saw the new animated film that just released over the weekend. What did we think of it? Who wants to start with this one?
I loved it. I was so happy.
Man.
Yeah.
Me too.
Like
I loved it too.
Yeah. I mean, I went in with decent expectations regardless. I thought it was going to be good. I thought it was a neat idea. The trailers all looked great. There was an extended trailer with Venom that showed the scene where he's kind of at the gravestone and then ends up like... spoilers, obviously, as we always do when we start talking about movies. But that scene where the new Peter Parker shows up behind him, and he gets knocked out, and then they end up like web zipping onto that train.
Oh yeah.
Like I had seen that whole scene
God.
as like an extended. I waited through like 18 minutes of Venom credits. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Like it was an absurd amount of.
Somebody asked me, and I didn't know that was attached to the end of Venom.
Yeah.
Because somebody had asked me, like I put something up about this new Spider-Man movie and how much I liked it, and somebody responded and asked, "Oh, is that thing that was at the end of the Venom movie?" And I was real confused. I did not. I was like, I have no idea. So now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, they showed that at the end of the. I have not seen Venom yet. So.
I would not have gone to see Venom for a trailer.
I liked Venom. I didn't go see it for that.
No, I know you didn't. I wasn't saying you did. I just I would have been, and I would have not.
I didn't think I was gonna like Venom. I want to like everything, but there was no assumption whatsoever. I was like walking into a DC movie that looked as bad as most DC movies are, I guess. But I didn't expect anything out of that. And again, not a great movie.
Yeah,
by any means.
But it made a bajillion dollars.
Oh yeah, and it was fun. Like I think it pretty much knew what it was, and that's all I really can ask out of most movies.
Yeah.
You know what you are, and be you. And if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. But it was.
So anyway, Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, back to Into the Spider-Verse, which is actually what we're talking about.
I'm not going to talk about Venom, sorry.
He's so angry. But like I said, it felt like there was 8 hours of movie in that under 2 hour movie, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like it didn't feel like it was way too long.
7.5 of them were in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things where like you look back on all the things they did in that movie. And you think in your own head, like, man, that movie had to be 4 hours long. But, like, nope, they condensed it all. It still flowed smooth. They got everything done. You were never bored. You were never looking at your clock. Watch, whatever tells time. I was never. Apparently, Jaren's going to argue some. He's over here raising his hand. Talking about that. But I was just thrilled the entire way. I was laughing every minute. I was excited by the action. I do think I felt like Act 3 was the like they brought in like a DC writer to write Act 3 for them because they were just like, all right, we need a building tornado. Have we ever done that before?
Right.
I was like, where are you going with this? And then you said that, and I was like, okay.
What kind of tornado are they gonna fight at the end?
DC guy walks in and says, "This looks great. What kind of tornado is he gonna fight?"
But even that, like, it wasn't enough to like pull me out and make me dislike it. It was just a lot right there at the end. But that's the closest I had to a complaint about it. I was just really happy with tone, structure, characters, the voice acting. I was surprised by a lot of the cast. I was just real happy all the way through.
I'll go ahead and let Jaren say what he was going to say.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I did get a little. I thought the beginning was a little slow. I thought it was a little slow through the first 20 minutes, which is basically spoilers. Which is basically the whole Miles Morales origin story. Mm-hmm. I can't say I got bored, but. Like, I was starting to think, like, if this movie doesn't pick up soon, I'm checked out. You know what I mean? Like, right about now, I had those thoughts, and within seconds, it picked up. I will say that. You know what I mean? Like, it got right to the point where I was like, is this really what I'm getting? I had higher expectations than this. My other thing with it is spoilers, they keep doing the thing where it's like, okay, you know, they breeze through the origin stories for all the other Spider-Man, and they keep going, okay, let's do this one last time.
Yeah.
And then they give like an abridged version.
Yeah.
So like for them to make that joke and then still make me sit through 20 minutes of Miles Morales' origin story, I mean, I don't know, like, but I need a word that's less aggressive than like hypocritical. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to call it, but I feel like for them to make that joke and then still make me over and over again and then still make me sit through Miles not being Spider-Man for 20 minutes, I was like,
Yeah. Well, I thought they kind of like, because when they got to the end and he really did his, you know, like one last time or whatever, like I thought they kind of like circled that back into sort of like their point. But like I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong at all. I didn't have the same feeling about it because I felt like part of the point with the you know, like the main Spider-Man ones was that like they're kind of lampooning themselves like Sony is because they've done the origin story too many times and they were taking a task for that. So when the Peter Parker origins were coming through, they're like, you've all seen it, we've done this. I also loved how they used that as a way to like bring in like the old movies into it and stuff like that. Yeah. Like when they did the emo Peter dance.
And when he was doing
I about fell out of my chair.
We don't talk about that, he said.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool because they were showing like stuff from the Tobey movies and stuff from the Andrew Garfield movies. They were kind of like did all of that stuff in that little scene right there. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
The upside down kiss had Mary Jane upside down though instead of him. Did you notice that? Because they did the flip and she was the one hanging upside down.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why, but it was just one of those silly things.
But when they did, you know, like they did that for the Peters, but then like for Miles, I did need that origin story because I don't know Miles. I haven't seen 3 movies of that, or 2 movies of that, I guess, in the last 12 years or whatever. I don't have all of the comic experience now. That idea in and of itself is shot in its foot a little bit because they also breezed through all the other crazy Spider-Mans.
Yep.
And I didn't know their origins either. But those are kind of like zany side characters. At that point, they're just pushing the joke forward.
Yeah, and like they did those real fast and real goofy. Like Spider-Man Noirs was hilarious, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought his character in general was cracking
I just had fun every time he would talk going, is that Nicolas Cage? Or are they trying to make him sound like Nicolas Cage? Like, it's at least an attempt at an impression of Nicolas Cage, but I think it sounds just like him. And then the credits rolled up. I'm like, yep, this is Nicolas Cage.
I had no clue until the credits rolled up.
Really?
Like, the credits rolled up, and I was like, Nicolas Cage? Well, hold on. Turn it back. Roll it back. Nuh-uh.
Well, what threw me so much was like, I feel like I would know if he was in this movie. So it's probably not him, but it sounds just like, and then, yep, it was.
And it was him. Yeah, I thought he was
There's a lot of good voice acting in this movie, and a lot of names that totally surprised me.
Yeah. Because Lily Tomlin was Aunt May, and I thought that was pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
I thought the animation was super fun. What did you think about that?
I loved
I thought it was a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was super, like... they went for something kind of unique and original, but it gave it a very comic book feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, like, in a really, really well-done way. Not like... remember how, like, sometimes they force that comic book stuff. Remember how, like, the Ang Lee Hulk movie had all that weird comic book
which
transitions?
I loved. Yeah.
But I don't know, like the way this movie handled it was so much better, I thought, than that was. I don't know.
When it's in a bad movie, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
I just hate everything about the Ang Lee Hulk movie, so I thought it was super stupid in
what
that.
about those Hulk dogs,
the way they did it in this. Well, I would also compare it to the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles. They did all that. They did all that kind of cartoony anime stuff.
They did a lot of that anime stuff. Yeah.
And at first it was kind of off-putting to me, but once I got into the show and loved the show, that was part of it. You know what I mean? So
totally.
And like I was totally accepting and.
I loved a lot of the wacky joke stuff was pretty good too, like Spider-Man doing the Christmas songs. Spidey Bells.
I've got it. My kids were asking for that on the way home. Like, can you play that song? I'm like, I will look for it.
Wasn't it? Yeah. Wasn't it interesting though? Like how because the comic books exist in the world. Like, they got the comic books about Spider-Man in existence in the world where Spider-Man is.
Yeah.
But, like, they made it work pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool.
Well, they even said, like, the true stories of Spider-Man or something on the comics.
Yeah.
So,
well, because, like, there was that scene where Miles was experiencing what he saw in the comics, and that part I was kind of like, well, how does the comics know that about Peter Parker doing all this stuff? But, like, it could have just been a story, you know.
Yeah.
You could explain that as somebody telling a story of what they think might have happened, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You
can't read too much.
Yeah, exactly. You can't read too much into it because it's a fun, it's a fun movie. That's
that movie was bananas. If that's what drew you out of that movie,
I'm
not saying it did for you. I'm saying like in general,
I enjoyed the Stan Lee cameo.
I missed it.
You were gone. You went to get popcorn. I went to tell you that as soon as you got back.
Okay. Because I noticed that there wasn't one. It bummed me out.
The scene where Miles goes and buys the kids' Spider-Man costume. Stan Lee was the one selling the Spider-Man merchandise, and it looked just like Stan Lee, and he voiced the character and everything. Because it was really neat. Because Miles was like, if it doesn't fit, can I return it? And Stan Lee kind of gave this epic. It always fits eventually, you know. But then as he walked out, they continued the joke. Like they continued the joke because there was like a sign that's like "No returns ever." Like was up on the wall. It was pretty good stuff.
Well, and I thought because that's probably the last one we'll get, right?
Well, he filmed a bunch in advance.
He filmed a bunch in advance.
I bet we'll get him.
Never mind.
Endgame or Far From Home. There we go. Will probably be our last ones, but I think they've got some for.
They did fit in that nice dedication though at the very end, which was cool.
It was another thing I thought maybe that took place of the cameo since I had missed it. So that's
Well, I was gonna say this one would have been a really fitting last.
You know
what I mean?
Like it was so Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, well, it was in a Spider-Man movie. It was kind of a little meta and Stan Lee telling Spider-Man to go be Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like it just would have been a really great. I even thought watching it, I was like, this got to be the last one. Yeah, this is a pretty amazing one to end on.
Well, it totally got a reaction too from the audience. Like when he popped up on the screen, the theater kind of went, "Oh," you know, it did that. So it got that reaction from everybody. It was cool. I liked it. I was bummed that you missed it. You literally just walked out of the theater and he popped up, and I was like, that was the wrong time for him to go get his popcorn.
Well, I knew I wasn't even going for popcorn. I was sitting there going, "There's no way I'm going to make it an hour and 20 minutes without a restroom break."
Oh, okay,
so I might as well hit one now while it's slowing down.
And you missed Stan.
Yep.
Way to go.
Thanks, Bladder.
So.
Not like you won't see it 100 more times.
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
You're gonna see it more. You're gonna see it.
I'll see it 2 more times this year, I'm sure.
The villains? What'd you think of the villains?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up at one point. Like, I loved how many there. Like, they packed a ton in, and most of them weren't impactful. But it was just neat to see like such a representation of the Rogues Gallery.
Like Tombstone was just hanging.
Yeah,
out
exactly.
You know,
like Tombstone's just there chilling.
Yep.
And he wasn't a nobody. You know, like he did a couple. I don't think he said anything, but he did a couple of things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Prowler, Green Goblin, the Dr. Octopus iteration.
Yep.
Scorpion. I'm sure I'm missing some.
Right. And so these are all in like the Ultimate Universe too, right? Because that's the universe Miles exists in.
That's what I'm assuming. That's what it felt like. That's where he is in the books, and that's what I was assuming they were getting at with this one.
Yes, which is why we've got like the big monster Green Goblin and stuff like that.
Which I don't like that Goblin at all.
Yeah,
but that's a whole different.
But that's a thing, you know. And so like the Peter that gets brought to this world is like main universe Peter Parker. Yeah. That's like the what do they call the main universe? The 626 or something like that. Yeah, so that's supposed to be main universe Peter coming into the Ultimate Universe with Miles. Yeah. And
which I don't think any of these are like it's the Ultimate Universe, but it's not like the Ultimate Universe. It's like it's like a version of the Ultimate Universe. Yes. And so like when we get our Spider-Man, it's not really our Spider-Man. It's like the fatter, lazier, grumpier our Spider-Man, but it's like fun, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah,
I thought it was
but
great.
I'm saying like it's not only is it a movie about parallel universes, but even the universes that they're using are like parallels of what we're used to.
Right. Yes.
So my head hurts.
Yeah. Totally. It's just fun that they made a movie like this, though,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Like, it's kind of crazy to think that they did something on this level.
Yeah.
Where they're like, all these crazy alternate timelines have always existed in comics, and they found a way to bring that together and make it work in like a big budget movie for the mainstream audience. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's great.
And I hope it does. Like, when I checked later that night, I think there were like 160 reviews in or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was sitting at 98%.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
I just
I'm
know,
really
like,
hoping the money flows.
I had a big stupid smile on my face the whole time I was watching this movie. Like, I just had so much fun with it. And, you know, like we've talked about before, like Spider-Man's always been like my personal all-time favorite comic book hero. Yep. And to me, like watching this movie really kind of made me feel like when I used to watch the Spider-Man cartoon series in the 90s and how much I loved that cartoon. And it just really made me feel like that, you know, watching this and getting excited about it. And I don't know, everything about this was so fun. Yes. And when this was first announced, we talked about how cool we thought it was that they were willing to try doing animated movies that could exist at the same time as the main movie stuff and not have anything to do with it. And I just think they did this so like perfect, you know, and I hope that this is successful and they try more stuff like this.
Because I hope they make 100 of these.
It was so fun. It was great. And I hope kids really get into this.
Yep.
I know Spencer's been running around pretending to be Spider-Man ever since he saw that movie.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. As you know, as a longtime Spider-Man fan myself, I love that he just saw something that got him all hyped up about the character.
Connor's been dressing up as Spider-Man for like a year and a half now, like pretty regularly. So he was super into it. Caitlin was a real big fan of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she liked the whole movie too. So I know the kids are into it. I know I was into it. It seems to be, Christina liked it.
She did. She loved it.
Yeah.
She had actually some of the same critiques as Jaren.
Oh, really?
Because the first thing she said to me when we walked out of the movie was, I thought it was really slow for a long time, but it finally picked up. And I didn't feel that way at all.
Yeah, I
but
didn't
then
either.
He came in and said the same thing tonight, and I was like, well, I guess, you know, that's a thing. So
and I will say it went from 0 to 60 almost immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it went from me being like, oh, I'm kind of bored, to me being like, this is fantastic. For sure.
It's so fun, man. Gosh, it was good stuff.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite post-credit sequences.
Oh gosh. Do it. Well, let's should we talk about that last? Or?
Yeah, we can wait. Yeah, go ahead.
You were about to bring something up.
Well, I was going to ask, and I probably shouldn't, and this is probably like an old take, because Miles, it's not a take. I just have a question. Like, your kids, you know, liked it. Was there any recognition or like did anything of Miles Morales versus Peter Parker? Like, was there a distinction there for the kids, or is there just like, oh, Spider-Man, whatever?
So he keeps asking me his name, and I have to keep telling him it's Miles.
Okay.
Because he knows who Peter is,
right?
And he calls Peter the real Spider-Man.
Okay.
And until he knows Miles now, but he keeps going. The one that dresses in black is the one he kept saying. He's like, "Who's that Spider-Man that dresses in black?" And I always had to keep going, Miles. Yeah. So he has a distinction between the two of them, and even to him, Peter Parker's the real Spider-Man. He calls him the real Spider-Man, and it probably has everything to do with the red and blue. Honestly, that's the recognizable Spider-Man, right? Even to a 4-year-old kid. Yep. So to him, that's real Spider-Man. Okay, and I think that's who he's pretending to be when he's playing. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. So, well, the only time I noticed is they gave us like these little packs of like trading cards or something. Yeah. That we opened when we got home, and one of them had a Peter B. Parker.
Oh yeah.
In there. And I don't even remember which kid, but one of the kids referenced that as the real Spider-Man. Yeah. But there was never like any other distinction that I noticed beyond that. But I think, like you said, a lot of it is the red and blue. Like I know Connor knows that Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker, but he didn't ask any questions about any of the other ones or anything like that. I mean, they both thought the pig was funny.
I was going to say, if we're being truly honest, Spider-Ham was hands down his favorite part of that whole movie. Like, he loves that pig. Yeah. So.
But between that and then Spider-Gwen being a girl, like, those are the only, like distinctions that they, like, flat out came out and said. But
he does really like that Miles can turn invisible.
Yeah.
He thinks that's really
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't know he had different powers.
I didn't realize that either. So now that I think about it, he has been doing that. He's been like turning invisible, like when he plays Spider-Man. So
I will go so far though as to say even when you look at the distinctions, like there were 2 Peter Parkers in that movie.
Yeah.
And the 626 or whatever you call it, like Peter B. Parker. Like, to me, that was the real Spider-Man, not even the other Peter Parker.
Well, that's because he's from our universe, right?
Exactly.
He's our Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, like, totally. On the kids' level, there didn't seem to be one. On mine, though, it's still deeply entrenched in there.
Yeah.
Did your daughter react to Spider-Gwen at all? Like,
yeah, she loved it.
She gravitated that way.
Yep.
And she's kind of been doing that too, right? Like, wasn't she excited to see Gwen in that movie specifically?
Yeah. Okay. Well, and she had just gotten a Spider-Gwen toy.
Oh, yeah.
Like a week ago, and that was her first exposure to the character.
Gotcha.
I've never had any exposure to Spider-Gwen other than knowing she exists out there, through that comic. So that was one of the things I thought was funny. They were breezing through her origin story, and I'm like, I wonder how much of that is actually like comic accurate, because that seems pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, she's one that really came out of the Spider-Verse series they just did, right?
Didn't
she?
Yeah. I think
like
so.
She showed up to that, and she was popular enough that now she's got her own line. Yeah.
Which how does that work? Like, because the Ultimate line doesn't exist anymore, does it?
I don't think so.
So where is Miles in
Miles?
the real
Miles
universe?
got folded into the real universe in the Secret Wars that they just did.
Oh, they just did a new Secret Wars.
They did just do a Secret Wars. Yep.
And then what about like Spider-Gwen? Is she still like a different universe?
I think she's still alternate timeline.
So
I don't
she's
think
just
she
like her own book in her own world.
Yeah, and like I know they did like a limited run with her, but they've done all kinds of wacky things with her. Like there's a Gwen Pool series where Gwen Stacy is Deadpool instead, and they did Gwenom where she got the Venom suit.
Yeah.
Like seriously, they've done all kinds of wacky things with her now. But
that's nuts.
Yeah.
But they're all like side universe stories.
Yes, they're all side universe stories. But she's kind of one of those characters that's become very popular for that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of her shtick, I think. But then there's also like that Rise or Hero Rise or whatever that new girl Marvel show is. She's just in that with all the with the other Miss Marvel and stuff like that, like the stretchy Miss Marvel and stuff. So.
Yeah, because you were showing me, because that's the toy line that Caitlin got her Spider-Gwen from, and you were showing me some of the other ones, and there seemed to be like a male and a female Captain America in there.
Yeah. America Chavez is one of the characters. That's her name. And and I don't know a lot of these characters really either.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like newer characters or.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're for this
Squirrel
show.
Girl's in there, and I know who Squirrel Girl is.
Some of them, but like it feels like they're just pulling from wherever and which is fine.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if some of them were even invented for the show, or if they are all from comic books, or if they're all from the main universe. I have no idea.
It's hard to keep up with all this stuff, honestly. You just reminded me though of something I wanted to bring up with Gwen. I was expecting and kind of hoping for a moment, and maybe this is too heavy of a moment for a kid's cartoon, but like when Peter B. Parker saw a young teenage Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah.
I kind of wanted a reaction.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because the last time he saw Gwen looking like that was when she died in his universe.
Oh, yeah.
And because they kind of did it a little bit with, like, when he saw the younger Mary Jane, because he's going through the divorce or whatever in his universe, and he saw a 10-year younger Mary Jane and kind of did the whole, I can change, I can be better, like that whole scene right there.
She was just asking him for roles.
But even there, like Gwen has kind of a line that's almost a throwaway line, because Gwen's trying to stop him, and she's like, look, I went through this too.
Yeah.
Referencing the fact that she saw Peter, because Peter died in her universe.
Yeah.
So, but they never did the connection between Peter and Gwen, and I kind of wanted that.
I didn't catch it on first viewing, and now I'm mad at myself for not catching it and bummed that it's not there.
Like when she pulled that mask off, I kind of was like, man, how would Peter react to seeing like teenage Gwen right there in front of him? Like, I don't know. That's just
Well, which again, I mean, it's like an alternate version of our version.
Yes.
Maybe there just wasn't a Gwen Stacy in that one or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. Bummer.
Just something to throw out there. I was really kind of
It's what the show is for, Dan.
That's right. That's right.
Finding stuff to throw out there.
All right. End credit scene. Let's talk about that.
It started up, and I could tell. I didn't know where they were going to go with it at all, but it started up with kind of like the computerized person talking to someone.
Yeah.
And I just had a feeling I was like, this is going to be neat. I have no idea what this is going to be, but this is going to be neat. And then as soon as she said Miguel, I got goosebumps.
Me too.
I
got so excited.
And then they panned out and they showed the Spider-Man 2099, and he was talking about
He did the same thing. All right, one more time.
Yeah,
he did that whole thing.
Yeah, I was too excited
story.
to even figure out what was going on at that point, like to keep track of how it was going. And then as soon as I came back into what was happening, he was talking something about the parallel universes and figuring out a way to travel them. And then they're like, where do you start? And he's like, all right, what did he say? Let's go back to the beginning or something like that? Yeah. And he just portals into the 1967 cartoon. I just sees old Spider-Man, and they go straight into those memes or whatever where old Spider-Man just starts pointing at him.
Well, he goes, because he says something like, he's like, I'm Spider-Man, and then the other one just goes, who are you? And he goes, I just said I was Spider-Man. And then they both start pointing at each other, yelling.
And it's Spider-Man 2099 in the old 67 animation style, and it's the overdone voice of the old Spider-Man. He's like, who are you or whatever. He's like, I just said that. Well, who are you? Well, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And they're just going back and forth, just pointing at each other. And yelling at each other for pointing, and I was dying.
They panned over to those guys, and those guys are like, "Can you tell?" What did he say? Because he said something like, "Well, who pointed at who first?" And he's like, "Well, obviously Spider-Man pointed first." Yeah. It was ridiculous. I was cracking up because it's you get so excited when you see 2099 and you're like, heck yeah, this is awesome. And then it just goes totally bonkers with the 67 cartoon, and you're like, okay.
And it made me, because I was already thinking all right, I love this and I want to see more. Yeah. And if they do more of these, is it just going to be a Miles Morales movie going forward, which is totally a fine way to introduce the character and then do a series of those. Yeah. But then the post credit was that, and now I'm like, well, now they got to do more dimension jumping because I want some Spider-Man 2099 now.
Yeah. Oh, so there was definitely scenes where we saw a whole bunch of Spider-Men from all the different universes. And I was trying to pick out different ones in there. There was a lot that I didn't recognize. I don't know if they made up a bunch for the movie too.
I don't know. There's a ton I wouldn't recognize nowadays. I get that same feeling when I play the video games.
I was going to say, did you notice
there's 50 costumes, and I've seen 10 of them before.
The PS4 Spider-Man was in the movie?
Oh, really?
With the white spider on him?
No, I didn't.
Yep, he was there.
Awesome.
He was in there. In fact, he was also one of the costumes in the Spider Cave.
Oh, was he?
Was the PS4
I didn't catch that either. I was trying to look at those to see what I would recognize, but I do that thing where I start concentrating so hard on the left side that I never make it to the right side by the time the scene's done.
I was real bummed that I never saw Scarlet Spider anywhere.
Yeah.
I was looking for him. I was like, where's Ben Reilly? Come on, he's got to be in there somewhere. And I never saw that suit. But it was still fun, trying to pick out. And now I want to go and do it again. I want to look at it and see if I can pick out the different
I'm going to be excited to see it a couple more times in theaters, and I'm going to be real excited when it comes to home video and I can pause it.
Yeah. I hope it does really well. I really do.
Me too.
I think it's going to, but...
I think, like I said, the reviews have been fantastic. That doesn't translate to box office necessarily, but I think from our experience... it's adult-friendly and kid-friendly enough. It seems to be pretty all ages.
It's getting rave reviews,
Spider-Man,
man. Everybody's talking about how much they liked it. So, cool. All right, anything else on that?
I think we said it all.
All right, rock and roll. Well, let's go ahead and move on into some fan questions for the week. Each time we record, we always put up a post on our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/GeekEasyPodcast. You can just do a search on Facebook for the Geek Easy Podcast and find us. And I always put up a post where I ask you guys if you have any questions for us, and then we choose a couple of those for every episode. So the first question today is going to go right off of this conversation we just had. Comes from Michael Hamrick, who says, in honor of Into the Spider-Verse, who is y'all's favorite Spider-Man not named Peter Parker? I'm just going to throw out Ben Reilly because I've always been a huge mark for the Scarlet Spider costume in general. And I know the Clone Wars is so like this whole like cliche like oh my god, that's chaos. But man, I read all the Clone Wars stuff and I love the Clone. I don't know.
It wasn't called the Clone Wars. It was called Maximum.
Maximum Clonage. Yeah, the Clone Saga is what I meant to say, not the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We're getting all Star Wars mixed up. The Clone Saga. I liked the Clone Saga.
I liked a lot of that stuff as it was happening.
Yes.
I didn't love it went too far. And every time I read the retrospect stuff about what garbage it is, I kind of go, yeah. But then I have to stop and remind myself, like, you dug it when it was happening at the beginning, at least.
Man,
you
like
know?
I know, I know it's totally bonkers. I know they retconned a bunch of weird stuff.
And all of the stuff through like the main part of the Ben Reilly story was all super fun and awesome. Yeah. And then like at the tail end, they were like, what if there's a bajillion clones of everyone ever? Yeah. And that's when it went off the rails. But up until then, it was real solid, I feel.
See, I got mad and checked out when they tried to do the whole, no, Ben Reilly is the real Peter Parker. Oh, no, he's not actually. It was the other. You know, I was like, no, guys, no. I liked Ben Reilly, but this is dumb.
But Scarlet Spider costume still best Spider-Man costume. Okay. Next.
I mean, if I'm gonna pick my choices were down to Ben Reilly or Miguel, so I'm gonna go with Spider-Man 2099.
Miguel,
which was one I always super dug.
Yeah, it's another favorite costume of mine too.
Yeah, love the costume. Love that universe for the most part. I mean, they did some weird stuff and some dumb stuff in that universe, but I always felt the Spider-Man stories were real solid all the way through.
Yeah,
I really liked that character in the arc, I mean, I'm not going to go into a whole dissertation about Spider-Man 2099. If I am going to, because I'm totally willing to, I'm going to do it after I go back and reread some, because that'll be a good excuse to. But love that character.
Yeah. All right, you got one?
I guess I'd say I really thought the Superior Spider-Man stuff that they did was cool.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know how much that counts because it was Peter Parker, except that it was Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body. So. Yeah. So I thought there was some cool stuff.
I didn't read that stuff, but I read about that stuff.
Yeah.
So like that's my full knowledge of that whole storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what I'd be super interested in that. That sounds like a really cool storyline.
Well, and they did some cool stuff because one of the things like playing with the Spider-Man mythos, I guess, is like one of the things like Doc Ock talks about specifically is how strong Peter Parker really is and that he must be pulling his punches. Because he could really be killing some people, like and so some stuff like that, like Doc Ock discovers about all that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So there's some cool stuff that happens in there.
Sweet. Well, that was a good question.
Yeah, great.
All right, next one comes from Christopher Carlson, who says, with the new She-Ra going with the whole girl power angle for the baddies, or at least in season 1, which classic Horde characters can you dudes see getting a gender flip? My money is on Mosquito, mostly because of how mosquitoes work in real life, which is always a joke I see a lot, honestly, with Mosquito, because mosquitoes themselves usually are female. The ones that fly around and bite you, I think they're pretty much all females. Yep. So people have always joked about how, why is Mosquito a male character when mosquitoes are usually female? So I don't know. I guess that could be a thing. I don't know. This is a question I haven't really thought about too much. I'm sure it could happen, and I wouldn't be totally against this, except we didn't see them do that at all with the first season.
Right.
So I don't know if they will do any gender flips. They just kind of focused on all the female Horde members.
Yep.
Like they focused specifically on Scorpia and Catra and Octavia and kind of put all the others on the sideline except for Hordak.
Yeah, I feel like we probably just see some more of that. You know, I mean, like Grizzlor showed up and just kind of got handled real quick.
He was just there.
You know, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them show up and then just get handled and keep the focus on like who we have.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like they're really putting the focus on obviously the She-Ra Catra arc.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that those other members of the Horde are real important to their story that they're telling, and that's probably why they're not including them.
Or need to be gender flipped.
That's at this point. I mean, we're assuming this goes on for a while, so there'll be plenty of time to get to any of that stuff. I mean, assuming it's popular, which I just guess it is. I don't know.
Seems like it's.
I feel like we'd be more likely to get new Horde members.
That's exactly where I was going. Yep. So like I figure like as they're progressing this, they can bring some of those other ones in, make toys of them, whatever they want to do. Yada yada. But if they really want to
mentioned my wife Hordette.
I don't even know what I do. Oh, Hornet's a thing now. Cool. Great.
Can she be on the T-shirt with Segway Man?
Yeah.
I hope she just looks like Hordak, but's got like blonde curly hair.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I'm Hordak.
She's got to talk with that voice.
Yeah. I hope she's the
Geek
just the
Easy
Hordak,
Podcast,
the
copyright.
Hordak version of the girl Gremlin from Gremlins 2.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
She's putting lipstick on. And,
Oh my god. That's amazing. That's my new favorite character. Hordak. I'm going to start petitioning. Where's
maybe
my
they'll
Hordak
do
figure?
what was it? Hordak Prime? Was that
Horde
what it was?
Prime.
Horde Prime.
Horde Prime.
Maybe that can be female.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Could have been anyway, I guess.
Big robot hand with a
Yeah,
blonde
that's what I
wig?
say. That's all they have to do. That's all they have to do.
It comes in doing the car.
I'm
Who
Horde
was
Prime.
it when Cartman's hands with Jennifer Lopez?
Oh yeah.
I'm Hornet Lopez.
Oh my god. Yes.
I was gonna say all they'd have to do the gender swap there is just hire a female voiceover. Like
No, it's way funnier if you put a blonde wig on the hand.
you
On a big
guys
robot
killed
hand.
my idea.
Yeah.
Yours is way better.
All right. Next question. Last question for today comes from Pat Keating, who says, for all the Schwarzenegger quoting and shenanigans going on this show, we've never heard the top 5 favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies from the hosts. Hoping someone includes Batman and Robin so we can hear some timely Mr. Freeze ice-themed puns for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean I can't do it on the fly, but I'd like to do a top 5 Schwarzenegger.
Give us some Mr. Freeze, Danny.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
This is my favorite.
Yeah,
Your Schwarzenegger is my favorite.
It's ridiculous.
Yep.
So
I said we were at Six
Dashing
Flags
Dancer,
a
Prancer,
week
Vixen,
or
Comic Cube, and Dada Blitzen. I can do this all day!
we were at Six Flags a week or two ago, and I made Dan ride the Mr. Freeze with me just because I wanted to hear some of those lines.
Freeze, bird boy.
I can go ahead and throw out a few that would have to make my top 5.
Yeah.
True Lies.
Oh yeah,
Probably my number 1.
yeah,
Probably like True Lies was like an epiphany for me
Yes.
because it was like one of the first that was like a action comedy.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I've never wanted to see a straight action movie since
yeah.
until John Wick.
There you go.
Nice.
Re-epiphanied me back the other way. But
nice.
but
Hey, re-epiphanies are rare. That's a beautiful thing, man.
yeah. So True Lies would be way up there.
Terminator 2's got to be on there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I prefer Terminator 1.
Wow.
So Terminator,
Really?
yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew you were a big Terminator guy, but I didn't know.
I was
that
about to say
number one was
if
your-
we're gonna do this show forever, at some point we're gonna have a Terminator episode.
That's we got to.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like one of your favorite franchises, right? Or is it
Absolutely.
your- yeah.
It'd be tough between Terminator and Back to the Future. I'd have a hard time I'd have a hard time choosing.
Those are good. Those are
Where's
good ones. though.
where's Fast and Furious land on there?
Probably a solid third.
Okay,
A solid third. Like I like all those.
I knew it was up there. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure where. On
All right,
the-
John, is
yeah.
Last Action Hero on your list?
Like I don't think so. End of Days is up there.
End of Days?
End of Days was great.
I'll be back. You didn't know I was going to say that, did you? Actually, you said that in every movie. Ice that guy.
like,
Kona phrase.
We get Last Action. Like I'm sure Last Action Hero is not a good movie. That's not going to be my point. But like for the amount of flack it gets, like it was meta before meta was cool.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, for sure.
Like there's a whole lot of things that we love nowadays that you could totally argue borrowed stuff from the ideas that Last Action Hero sort of originated.
I got him up here.
So I have to jump in on that. And while you're right, I
I got my Arnold action figure out.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
none of those were even trying to be words.
Please.
Yeah, so I say now we're just at the end of Total Recall,
Yeah.
which will be up there on that
We
list
can
too.
move to Mars.
Do you remember when Saturday Night Live just randomly 25 years after that movie came out, started doing those sketches where the guy had the little the Quato.
Quato, yeah.
Oh, that's my Quato.
Yeah. Anyway, you were gonna argue my point.
Well, I wasn't going to argue your point. I was just going to have to throw out there that while Last Action Hero, yes, was meta and kind of lampooned his whole career and everything, Kindergarten Cop does that way better, because anybody who hasn't seen Kindergarten Cop in a long time, go watch it. There is a lot more of him just being like a straight, every character he's ever played, kicking down doors with terrible one-liners, and like there's a lot more of that than you remember there is.
Oh, really?
I
yes.
love Kindergarten.
Oh, yeah.
That would be on my list.
I was gonna say,
yeah. It's a great movie.
Twins was amazing.
Oh, I know your favorite.
Don't. Let's not do this.
Yes.
Let's not do this.
John loves Junior.
John's favorite Schwarzenegger movie.
Nope.
Junior.
Now I don't even want to do the list. Hate that movie so much.
I
so
always
bad.
forget that you've got like a pure
So
hatred
bad.
for Junior.
I thought for a second I was gonna get through it. I've been dreading this since that question came up. I read that question right before the episode started and had to pretend to smile, knowing someone was going to remind me
of
that flipping movie.
Because I forgot. I definitely forgot. I wasn't even thinking about it.
I hate that movie so much. You guys are not good people.
Yes.
Good
You're
job,
not good
Danny.
people.
Woo.
Is everything.
If I hadn't said twins,
He's everything.
I don't know if you'd have remembered.
Attitude.
I think I brought DeVito into this. That's my fault.
You brought
That's
my
my fault.
You definitely did bring up.
Yep.
That's why I remembered.
Yep.
You brought up Twins.
Yep, I did this.
That's Twins number 2. What's the sequel?
It's the sequel to
It's
Twins.
the sequel to
It's
Twins.
the sequel to
It's not.
Twins. They're
not.
basically the same movie.
I've seen both movies. It's not the
Yeah,
same.
they fit right together. They fit right together.
Nope.
Hey, thank you so much, Pat, for this amazing question.
Pat, I don't blame you.
This was the best part of the best
But
way to end the show.
these guys are the worst.
Could not have picked a better way
Oh
to
my
end.
gosh.
Danny, take us home.
You were talking, yeah. God, the worst.
We're not going to get any better than that, John.
That's it.
I'm done.
That's the best.
I'm out.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up another episode of the Geek Easy podcast. And it's going to wrap up our 2018 year here on the show. It's a good way to end it, John.
It's great.
Perfect.
Great way to end 2018.
That's how you're ending my year.
You can't ask for any
I'm
better.
going to add that movie to our Christmas movie rotation this week. We're going to watch Junior.
Yes.
You want to come over, John, and watch Junior?
I'll
with
come.
us?
I'll come.
Come see my new movie, Junior.
Remember, John, it's the one where I'm pregnant.
I'm going to have a baby. Oh, my God.
I was under the impression we were done. I think that was a thing.
Oh, my God. Yep. So you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and YouTube. So please subscribe and rate the show. This is amazing. And we're out. We'll see you guys in 2019.
The Geek Easy Podcast is a production of PixelDan.com. Musical tracks used in the intro and outro are used with full permission of the respective owners or creators. Intro and outro narrations are provided by me, Brian T. Stevenson. PixelDan.com's The Geek Easy Podcast is provided for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those solely of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily represent those of PixelDan.com or any other party. Be sure to join us next time for another installment of the Geek Easy Podcast.